Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support, we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
Early the next morning, Ryu got up listlessly. Last night she actually suffered from insomnia. After living in Liang's house for 8 days, the white-haired girl couldn't sleep for the first time and had many dreams that made her blush in the middle of the night. Aha tilde tilde Liu yawned sleepily and patted her cheek hard. She raised her spirits and went out of the room. Liu, good morning. Mino raised his head and said hello. What are you doing? Liu's expression was a little unnatural, and she looked at the big and 4 small cups on the table in confusion. I'm not too sure either. Mino shook his head blankly and said softly, Liang said that these tea bowls can make tea more expensive, so let me practice how to make tea. She poured the water in the tea bowl into small teacups slowly. It's more expensive, what about Liang? Liu was stunned and she scanned the hall but she didn't see anyone. He went to the plantation and said he was going to build some shelter to hide the tea trees. Mino answered casually, pouring water back and forth with serious expression. Then I will check it out. Liu left a sentence and ran out. She went out of the house and saw the plantation covered by stones from a distance. It's already built. Liu watched as a shelter wall shaped like a hill. She saw a specially reserved hole on the side and walked in. When Li Yue entered, he saw that Liang was busy. She asked softly, "What are you doing?" "I'm pollinating the flowers." Liang was holding a small brush and was gently touching the flowers. Pollination? Liu tilted her head in confusion, hearing such words for the first time. The flower must be pollinated before it can bear fruit, Liang explained softly. He now has too few seeds, and there is no bee or other insects to help pollinate, so he can only get started by himself. It turned out to be like this. Liu felt that she knew more knowledge. She looked at the glorious tea tree and asked worriedly, "Is it okay to stuff the tea tree and angel wings in it?" "It's okay, I have a vent." Liang pointed to the top of the shelter wall. Liu looked up and saw holes the size of a thumb. "We just go one day and we will be back tomorrow." Liang will not stay in the Yuetan tribe for a long time. Obtaining the fierce beast spar will advance the domesticated beast. Moreover, he hasn't domesticated new animals for 6 days, so he has to look for suitable domesticated animals. "So soon, come back tomorrow." Liu's expression was dazed. "Yes, leave the goods as soon as they are released." Liang did not feel that the Moon Lake tribe was comfortable living on the back of the rock turtle. "Then my companion." Liu asked cautiously, "Aren't you going to talk to her?" "Don't worry, I don't live in Yuetan tribe, and it doesn't mean that I will stay away from Yuetan tribe," Liang said with a dumb smile. Before he squeezed the fierce beast spar of the Yuetan tribe, he would not leave immediately. "That's good." Liu breathed a sigh of relief. She also wanted Yu Fair to study angel tears to see if she could make a medicine to treat the disease of void ghost's infection. At that time, you can invite your companions to be a guest at home. Liang got up and stretched. "Come home as a guest." Liu's heart trembled, her silver-white eyes gleaming with unprecedented expectations and fear. "Yeah, don't you want to bring your companions to the house?" Liang raised an eyebrow and asked. Liu wondered if she had heard it wrong and asked timidly, "You mean I can treat this as my home?" "What stupid thing to say, how many days have you lived? Of course it is your home." Liang raised his hand to hold the white-haired girl's head and rubbed it vigorously. He smoothed the girl's white hair again and said gently, "There are even exclusive rooms available. If you want to stay, just stay." After a few days of life, he also understands that the white-haired girl is a responsible, somewhat inferior and sensible girl. It's you." Liu clenched her lips tightly, her nose was sour, her silver-white eyes were already covered by crystal tears. When the white-haired girl was lying in bed at night, she also imagined that Liang could take her in, just like a girl with rabbit ears. But she understood that she was just a monster of virtual ghost infection. She didn't dare to think about it, she could only hope to realize it in her dream. Now, the fantasy has come true. Let Liu feel unreal, she has completely lost her calmness and ability to think. "Can't you believe it?" Liang asked gently, raising his hand to stroke the scarlet lines on the girl's right cheek. "Well, Can someone like me really stay?" Liu raised her head with tears in her eyes. She grabbed the clothes on Liang's stomach with both hands and tugged tightly, as if letting go would disappear. "Why not?" "I think I like someone like you." Liang raised his hand to wipe the tears from the white-haired girl's cheeks. "I like someone like me? You didn't lie to me, did you?" Liu's pretty face flushed and sniffed, her silver-white eyes staring boldly at Liang's eyes. Her heart at this moment was beating like a fierce beast. What I said is true. Mu Liang really likes the temperament of a white-haired girl, a calm and responsible girl who would not like it. Then Liu blushed with shame. Your previous life, I may not know it very well. Mu Liang said in a soft, magnetic voice. I can only tell you that your future life will only be better than before. The very plain words, without any swearing or guarantee, made the white-haired girl feel very at ease. A bright smile appeared on Liu's face and she shouted, I want to stay. It's coming to the Moon Lake tribe. Mu Liang led the white-haired girl out of the sheltering wall and looked up to see a big earth-brown mountain in the distance. Yuetan tribe is at the foot of the mountain, we have to go around. Liu raised her finger in a direction. Let's go back and prepare, we may live in Yuetan tribe tonight. While Mu Liang was talking, his mind and thoughts gave the rock tortoise a direction. Rock tortoises should not be too close to the Moon Lake tribe or they will attract hostility from the tribe. At that time I will lead the way, Liu said softly. How can she say she stayed in Yuetan tribe for a while, knowing the specific situation inside? Then please, Mu Liang's mouth raised slightly. As soon as he entered the hall with Liu, he was watched closely by the girl with rabbit ears. Liu, what's wrong with her? Mino tilted his head, his blue eyes gleaming inquiring. She looked at the black handprints on the girl's white hair and the dirty finger marks on her cheeks. The most unusual to Mino was that the white-haired girl was still pulling the corner of his clothes with her little hand. When are two people so close? She accidentally fell down just now. Mu Liang sneered and thought of an excuse. Can't you say that the marks on the white-haired girl's cheeks were caused by him not washing his hands? Then I have to explain why I did it this way. Minuo's pretty face became tense and asked concerned, Liu, have you hurt anything? It's okay, I'm going to wash it up. Liu's cheeks flushed and she ran into the room with her head down. Her mind is still messed up now and she has to go back to the room to calm her mood. How do I feel weird? Mino muttered, pursing his lips, always feeling that something happened that he didn't know. Mu Liang pulled off the bench and sat down and asked calmly, how is your tea-making practice? I'll make it for you to see. Mino brewed the tea elegantly. There will be some pauses in the action of the rabbit-eared girl making tea, giving people an alternative beauty. Very good, a bit fanciful. Mu Liang nodded in satisfaction and asked softly, if you let you make tea in front of other people, would you be nervous? Ah, do you want to make tea in front of other people? Minor suddenly became nervous, and his beautiful eyebrows wrinkled. Don't worry, you will be next to me then, don't look at other people. Mu Liang calmed the girl. If you want people to know how good Xinghui tea is, you have to show it. Mino's bunny ears were entwined and said weakly. Eyes I can. It's fine for you to have a straight face and look at the tea bowl with your eyes. Mu Liang raised his hand and pulled the girl's rabbit ears. Well, I will stare at the tea bowl when the time comes. Mino cheered himself up cutely, so nervous that he didn't even care about being pulled by his ears. Believe in yourself. Mu Liang patted the head of the girl with bunny ears and said softly, I'm almost at the Yuetan tribe. Go and put on your new clothes and bring the portrait with you. Okay, Mino returned to the room absent-mindedly. The girl with rabbit ears had just left for a while. The white-haired girl changed clothes and came out. It was the hooded cloak she wore when she first met Mu Liang. You wear this Jin Yuetan tribe? Mu Liang looked at the girl's dress in amazement. Yes, I used to wear this way. Ryu took it for granted. Without waiting for Mu Liang to speak, she went on to say, I know there is a path to enter the Moon Lake tribe without going through the gate to be censored. Who said we were going to sneak in? Mu Liang didn't know whether to laugh or cry, shook his head. He held the white-haired girl's shoulders, twisted her body and pushed her to the room. Wait a minute. Liu didn't react a little. She had always secretly entered the Moon Lake tribe, otherwise she would be denied entry by relying solely on the entry review. You changed your clothes. Regardless of the white-haired girl's reaction, Mu Liang pushed the person into the room and shouted, Didn't you sewed several new skirts before? Put it on for me. Really? The white-haired girl sighed helplessly from the room. I have to dress up too. Mu Liang didn't want to sneak into the Moon Lake tribe. If you want to go in, go through the door. What you want is to cause a sensation, otherwise how to lure people who can afford Xinghui tea. In 5 days, the three of them not only sew new clothes, but also made a lot of furniture. A lot of furniture has been added to Mu Liang's room, including a row of cabinets against the wall. Unexpectedly, I will also wear hanfu one day. Mu Liang looked at the white straight hanfu in the closet. He reproduced it according to the style of the scholar dressing in the costume drama, plus a little personal transformation. Mu Liang put on the straight hand clothes and then tied a dark belt around his waist. The whole person became a sense of elegance and nobility. In the world of wasteland apocalypse, wearing white clothes makes anyone feel expensive. Other clothes, after all, feel almost better than Hanfu. I don't believe that no one will come to test it. Liang flicked it long and stepped out of the room. At this time, the two girls came out in the hall, wearing maid costumes. The style of the improved maid outfit is also painted by Liang, which can be regarded as satisfying his own bad taste when he is studying. The two girls looked at Liang, who had just left the room. Liang, you wear this outfit too, so cool. Mino clasped his hands together and praised it poorly. It's better than everyone I've seen. If someone who doesn't know you sees your current dress, you will definitely not dare to offend you. Liu's silver-white eyes gleamed with brilliance, and she said softly, they will think you are from the big city. Some big cities are gathering places more powerful than tribes, dominating the surrounding tribes, large and small. What I want is this effect. Liang chuckled lightly. If he can't bluff people, he won't wear Hanfu to go to Yuetan tribe. After all, he is not very flexible in activities. I'll go and change my clothes back. After Li Yue praised Liang, she felt uncomfortable. She touched the scarlet lines on her right cheek, which was completely unworthy of the dress on her body. Walking with Liang would hurt them. No need to change. Liang grabbed the white-haired girl who was about to leave. He took out a mask painted with plum blossoms from his arms and handed it over and said softly, just put on this mask. Is this for me? Liu took the mask in surprise and lowered her head to stroke the plum blossom pattern on the mask. Well, after you put on the mask, you pretend to be my guard. Liang's mouth curled slightly. Good, Liu cleverly put on the mask. At this time, the white-haired girl's feeling has changed, her temperament is more cool, and she feels aloof. Wu tilde tilde. The rock tortoise growled from the side, reminding it of the destination. At the foot of the mountain in a pile of rocks. Little black tortoise, you just stay here. Liang was telling the rock tortoise at this time. The house will be covered with stone armor, disguised as a small mountain bag. Wu tilde tilde, the rock tortoise whispered in response. Also, if someone wants to destroy the blocking wall on the back, you will squash them on me. Liang did not allow Xinghui tea tree to have problems. Xinghui tea tree is one of the important cores for future home construction. Wu tilde tilde, the rock turtle roared guaranteed. Zio Hung, the first line of defense is up to you. Liang looked up to the red ghost spider and said, don't let anyone harass the little black tortoise, and drive away those who are near here. It is better for rock turtles to be immobile or immobile. Once discovered, it will cause a sensation. After all, such a huge fierce beast stayed next to the Yuetan tribe, and it goes without saying that it would also attract the Yuetan tribe's encirclement and suppression. Squeaky, the red ghost spider replied, I will leave the house to you. Liang chuckled and led Liu and Minuo to the Yuetan tribe. Next to the three of them followed the three-color lizard that had entered a stealth state. In order to prevent accidents, Liang decided to bring the three-color lizards to protect the two girls when it was important. Under the leadership of Liu, the few people walked on a remote path. It took more than half an hour for the three beasts to appear near the Yuetan tribe. The surrounding wall of the Yuetan tribe is the kind of large fence that is erected one by one and lined up with wood. At this time, there was a long line at the gate of the Moon Lake tribe. Some hunting teams, walkers, and hunters are waiting in line to pay the entry fee. The appearance of the three of Liang immediately caused a commotion, and everyone around was sneaking at them. Liang, their eyes are too disgusting. Minuo moved closer to Liang. The blazing gaze of the people around made the girl with rabbit ears very uncomfortable. It's okay, they are just envious and jealous. Liang smiled. He took a leisurely pace and walked towards the gate of the Moon Lake tribe. Mino, catch up. Liu lowered her voice and reminded, don't forget, how did Liang teach you before? On the way here, Liang explained some necessary manners to the two of them. I remember, Mino took a deep breath. With a stern face, she hurriedly followed Liang's footsteps with her package. I hope there won't be any problems. The pretty face under Liu's mask showed a hint of worry. She calmly scanned the surroundings with a fierce gaze and forced back some inquisitive eyes. The white girl has not forgotten her disguised identity. She is the guard of Lord Liang. Liang didn't mean to line up with three people and one animal, and they walked straight to the middle of the gate. No one around dared to stop, and no one dared to say a word. The styles of the clothes on the three of them are so beautiful and novel. Except for a little dust on the hem, the rest is indescribably clean. Ordinary people who own such clothes will only be killed and robbed of the clothes. Being able to appear in the Yuetan tribe so cleanly can already represent a lot of things. As long as they are not fools and blind, you can see that Liang is not annoying. Please come in. The guard in charge of the review of the Yuetan tribe didn't dare to intercept the three of them. In this way, Liang entered the Yuetan tribe with the two girls and the invisible three-color lizard. Hurry up and report the situation of these three people to Lord Moon, the guard commanded. Yes. A guard hurried to the depths of the Moon Lake tribe, the corners of Liang's mouth raised, watching the guards rushing into the crowd. He lowered his voice and said to the two girls, "It won't be long before someone will come to try." Mina was a little dazed. They should have reported that the Moon Master has gone. Liu became even more worried. The Moon Lord is the leader of the Moon Lake tribe, and every leader is called the Moon Lord, and his strength is very strong. Moreover, the white-haired girl had heard that the current Moon Lord was an awakened one. "Don't worry, we are not here to make trouble." Liang's tone was relaxed, and he raised his hand and patted the white-haired girl on the shoulder. "Hope." Liu rolled her eyes. She murmured in her heart, "We are not here to make trouble, but we can't hold back that we have good things to be missed." The white-haired girl didn't forget the crystal fish, which was the reward offered by the Yuetan tribe. "Zio Nuo, do you have anything you want?" Liang scanned the surroundings and saw that most of the houses were wooden sheds, and many people were bartering things. "No," Mino shook his head, holding the package in his arms tightly with his little hands. The things inside were the most precious. "This is the periphery of the Yuetan tribe, where some slaves and handymen live. The area in front is where people who can afford to pay taxes live." Liu introduced in a low tone. "It's all here, just go and have a look." Liang stepped forward. The two girls followed closely behind them, and the road widened as they went forward, and the house was no longer a wooden shed. "Yuetan tribe looks worse than I thought," Liang said with emotion. He walked all the way and found that many people had yellow faces and thin faces, and their eyes were walking with numbness. "Of course, the life of our little tribe can't be compared to you, a person from the big city." Suddenly, a sweet female voice came in from the side. Liang didn't expect that the people who tried for the first time came so quickly. He stopped, with an inexplicable smile at the corner of his mouth, and looked sideways at the person who suddenly answered the conversation. A girl with long red hair, about 17 years old, wearing a gray robe. If the white-haired girl is cold, then the red-haired girl in front of me is the hot type. Especially the small, sharp hills that are not up to the age are enough to crush the two girls. She is the big miss of the Moon Lake tribe, Yue Feiyan. Liu approached Liang, moving her lips slightly to introduce. She is a fire type awakened, and she is very powerful. At this moment, Yue Feiyan stood beside her with her arms folded, her red eyes staring at the three people in front of her. I have to say that she has to admit that all three of them are not bad. Women are beautiful, men are temperamental. Welcome to Yuetan tribe. After looking at the three of them, Yue Feiyan put down her arms and introduced herself generously. "My name is Yue Feiyan. My name is Liang, a pastor of the world, a good teacher and helpful friend." Liang is gentle and elegant. After listening to the introduction, Yue Feiyan's red pupils shrank slightly, realizing that the person in front of her was more difficult than she thought. Looking at a person's conversation can explain a lot of problems. You take the liberty to bother. Yue Feiyan's attitude is no longer so casual, however, she did not hide it and said straightly, "I heard the guards come to report. If there is a distinguished guest coming to the Moon Lake tribe, I will come over and take a look curiously." "Then seeing it now, did it disappoint you?" Liang said slightly witty. "No, you look very different." Yue Feiyan touched her chin with her little hand. She commented tangledly like an uncle, "How to put it, you have a very special temperament." The maid beside the red-haired girl lowered her head in a weird manner after listening. "Your temperament is also very special." Liang's mouth twitched slightly and the red-haired girl was a bit upright. "Ha ha ha, yes, many people say that." Yue Feiyan pierced her waist and smiled heartily. Liang understood now that the red-haired girl praised him is just learning what others praised her. "What a funny girl. Big Miss, don't laugh." The maid poked her eldest miss awkwardly behind her. "Big Miss is good at everything, but it's easy to get overwhelmed." "Ahem." Yue Feiyan gave a light cough. She smiled embarrassedly at Liang and asked curiously, "Are you here to play?" "No, we are here to find someone." Liang shook his head lightly. "Looking for someone?" Yue Feiyan's red eyes lit up after hearing this, and he believed, "Maybe I can help." Oh, Liang raised his eyebrows and asked in surprise, "Why are you helping me?" Yue Feiyan was speechless, knowing that she was anxious. She is upright and not stupid. Could it be that her mother asked her to test her? Going back in this way will have to be disciplined. Our eldest miss is a more enthusiastic person. The maid quickly relieved her own eldest. It turned out to be so. Liang nodded cooperatively and said gently, "I won't bother you anymore, just ask someone to ask." Conversation also requires skill, and the initiative must be held in your hands to control the direction of the situation. I am the big miss from the Moon Lake tribe. Few people except me can help you find someone quickly. Yue Feiyan showed her identity generously and used this method to increase her favorability. That's it, Mu Liang pursed the corner of his mouth and chuckled. Then I will trouble you. His entry point was found, no trouble. Yue Feiyan waved her hand casually and suggested, let's find a place to sit down and talk slowly. Yes, Mu Liang nodded. Our Yuetan tribe has a very good restaurant, what do you think? Yue Feiyan licked the corner of his mouth. Thank you for leading the way just to try the Yuetan tribe's delicacies, Mu Liang said softly. I will never let you down, Yue Feiyan said, twisting her buttocks slightly and walked ahead to lead the way. Mu Liang followed with a girl, a man, and a beast. On the way, Mu Liang was chatting with the red-haired girl one after another. The restaurant is located inside the Yuetan tribe. The three of Mu Liang looked at the two-story wooden building in front of them, the architecture resembling an ancient restaurant on the earth. Come in, Yue Feiyan beckoned and took the lead to walk upstairs. Mu Liang let the three-color lizard stay in the corner outside the building and led the two girls into the restaurant. There are not many people dining in the restaurant, and there are only 4 of them on the second floor. After all, in the apocalyptic world, not many people have the capital to eat in restaurants. Mu Liang and Yue Feiyan were seated. When the rabbit-eared girl wanted to take a seat in a daze, the white-haired girl secretly grabbed her back to stop her. Liu faced the rabbit-eared girl with blank eyes. She said imperceptibly, the maid cannot be seated. The white-haired girl knew that Amino's hearing was able to hear subtle words. Sure enough, Mino's rabbit ears moved slightly, and his blue eyes returned a look of almost trouble. The maid standing behind Yue Feiyan secretly glanced at their clothes. She looked down at her dirty clothes again and suddenly found that there was no comparison. Before waiting for the boss to come forward, Yue Feiyan shouted loudly, the third one is the same, I want a big share. Okay, the boss walked back halfway. Yue Feiyan ordered the meal sturdily and turned to look at the two girls behind Mu Liang. She asked curiously, aren't you sitting? No, we are the adults' bodyguard and maid, we can't be seated, Liu said coldly. Ha. The guard maid, Yue Feiyan opened her mouth blankly. She looked blankly at the girl's clothes, then looked down at own clothes. Whenever the clothes of a bodyguard maid are better looking, exquisite, and clean than the clothes of her big miss. The red-haired girl was a little bit shocked. The maid poked her eldest miss in the back with her hand. Big miss, your performance is too obvious, don't be ashamed anymore. Zio Nuo, take out the portrait, Mu Liang said with a smile at the corner of his mouth. Yes. Mino resisted his timidity, took out a wooden box from the package and handed it forward. Mu Liang opened the wooden box, took out the portrait of the girl with rabbit ears, big sis, and handed it to Yue Feiyan. This is, Yue Feiyan took over in confusion. I want to find the portrait of that person, Mu Liang said gently. Yue Feiyan pulled the hair around her ears and kindly reminded, if you follow the portrait to find someone, it will be very different from the real person. You can take a look first, Mu Liang did not explain. Okay, let me take a look. Yue Feiyan spread out the portrait. After seeing the figure above, she was shocked and said, is it the handwriting of the great painter that the painting is so realistic? Is a very special painter, Mu Liang said wickedly. When Liu and Minuo heard this, the corners of their mouths curled up. Yue Feiyan remembered the characteristics of the characters in the portrait and asked, may I ask who is in this painting? This person is the big sis of one of my family members. They have been separated for several years. After Mu Liang spoke softly, he could clearly feel the clothes on his back being grabbed by someone. Family, Minuo murmured, his small mouth tightly, eyes drooping, his small hands tightly tugging Mu Liang's clothes. Understood, I will send someone to find it. Yue Feiyan nodded clearly and handed the portrait back. Thank you. Mu Liang took the portrait and gently put it back in the wooden box. Are you from that big city? Yue Feiyan sold her affection and began to make a formal test. Can you tell me about the outside world? We are from Black Tortoise. Mu Liang thought of the rock tortoise's name instantly and chuckled softly. I don't know what you want to know. Ryu and Mino twitched their mouths, of course knowing what Black Tortoise represents. Black Tortoise City. I haven't heard of a big city with this name nearby. Yue Feiyan tilted his head and thought. I also want to know what Black Tortoise City is like. A faint male voice came from behind the red-haired girl. Yue Feiyan's forehead trembled. She didn't need to turn her head, just listen to the voice to know who it was. She couldn't help holding her forehead and said in a low voice, Lu Chuan, it's you again, how come you are everywhere? I heard people say that if you bring someone here for lunch, come and have a look. Lu Chuan appeared at the table, squinting at the three of Liang. Who do I bring? Do you want to take care of it? Yue's crimson eyes narrowed, revealing a dangerous look. No, I just came to have a look. Lu Chuan waved his hand quickly and stepped to sit at the table next to him. He yelled counselingly, I'll just sit here and I won't disturb you. Liang couldn't help but glanced at the man named Lu Chuan. Although his face was a bit wretched, he was 1 meter 8, so he was so embarrassed. He thought that an urban plot would be staged, and the other party was ignorant of the provocation and asked him to pretend to slap him in the face. If you are as annoying as last time, I think you will lie down for another 10 days. Yue Feiyan glared at Lu Chuan and raised her fist in warning. Liang understood in a second. It's not that this buddy is too embarrassed, but that the red-haired girl in front of him is too cruel. Yue Feiyan turned around and said straightforwardly, I want to know everything about Black Tortoise. Say anything, it's too long to say, Liang reminded euphemistically. Makes sense. Yue Feiyan tilted her head for a moment and said, Can you tell me more about the life of Black Tortoise City? Life? Then let me talk about my life specifically. Liang raised his mouth and opened his mouth. The life in Black Tortoise City is pretty good. For breakfast, I have a bowl of porridge with some pickled vegetables. Eating a light breakfast, take the time to read the newspaper that records the major events of yesterday. After breakfast, I will go to work. As for what I do, I won't say anything about it. Liang's mind turned and he continued to flicker. After a busy morning, I will have a good lunch at noon. A good meal, what's it like? Yue Feiyan was completely attracted. In fact, the life described by Liang is so good, it seems as if you don't have to worry about eating and drinking. Liu and Minuo secretly glanced at each other, and they both saw a meaning in each other's eyes. That is, Liang is good at making up stories. Big miss, the third child you want is here. The boss came with the dishes at this time. Let it down. Yue Feiyan waved his hand, motioning the boss to retreat. The boss put down the food and retired respectfully and quietly. The youngest three are the 3 dishes that Yue Feiyan often eats, 1 roast, 1 broth, 1 stew. We are eating while talking. Yue Feiyan licked the corner of his mouth. The maid behind her took the initiative to move forward and set up the tableware. Good. Liang looked at the barbecue on the table. It was fresh meat, not dried meat. Mino is not stupid either. Seeing the action of the maid opposite, he puts out the cutlery and divides the meal in every way. The fresh meat here is the best, try it soon. Yue Feiyan skillfully cut a piece of barbecue and stuffed it into her mouth. Yeah, Liang nodded and also tasted a piece of barbecue. It smells fishy, it's a bit over-roasted, and it's chewing a bit of firewood. However, it is also more delicious than jerky. Yue Feiyan blinked her red eyes and asked curiously, How is your lunch at Black Tortoise? It's pretty good, but the taste is a little different. Liang smiled lightly. That's good, I'm afraid you won't be used to it. Yue Feiyan breathed a sigh of relief and urged, Continuing from what you said before, what is it like to have a good meal? The red-haired girl is really curious about the life in Dasheng, and she also wants to go out and wander around. It's just that the mother Yuezhu wouldn't let her travel far. The good thing is to eat some meat. Liang put down the knife in his hand, spread his 5 fingers and bend it for several times. There are grilled whole chicken, there is fried steak, there is stewed fish, there is braised duck. Wait, I have never heard of such dishes. Yue Feiyan pursed her pink lips blankly. What I eat are unique recipes developed by some chefs themselves, and they usually don't pass them on. Liang himself was said to be greedy. He ate a piece of stew with a knife and fork, and it was still the same fishy and a bit too salty. It turned out to be a unique recipe, Yue Feiyan suddenly realized. After lunch, I have to go back to work. Liang went on to make up, is to go on to say. I have been busy until mid-afternoon, and people have no energy, so they need an afternoon tea to refresh themselves. Tea, that bitter thing, Yue Feiyan wrinkled her face. Xinghui tea is bitter first and sweet later. It can make people full of energy, and drinking it regularly can prolong life. Liang narrowed his eyes slightly, and his face just showed an intoxicated expression. I have drunk tea too, those teas are too bitter. Yue Feiyan didn't quite believe it and asked, I have never heard of Xinghui tea. Is it as good as you said? The mother of the red-haired girl asks her to drink tea every day, but the tea is bitter and astringent, without any sweetness at all. If it were not for the health of drinking tea, she would definitely pour the tea secretly. You didn't expect to hear that it is normal. Xinghui tea tree is the sacred tree of Black Tortoise City. The output of tea is very scarce, plus it can prolong life, so it is even less spread outside. Liang compiled so much content in order to elicit Xinghui tea. However, there is one thing he didn't make up. Drinking Xinghui tea regularly can indeed prolong life. Well, I still want to try it out in the future. Yue Feiyan showed a regretful expression. Huh, can you live longer? Lu Chuan couldn't help but sneered and mocked. I want to taste Xinghui tea. Shut up, Yue Feiyan turned her head abruptly, her red-haired eyes gleaming with fire. Lu Chuan closed his mouth tightly, nodding his head in fright. Xinghui tea is suspected to be normal, after all, the output is too small. Liang is a little grateful for the assists of this cowardly man. He lacks an excuse to come up with Xinghui tea. Being too active will make people suspect. Only passive proof is the best effect. I have no doubt. Yue Feiyan shook his head lightly. Miss Yue, you invite me to lunch. Liang's mouth turned upside down and said faintly. Then I will invite you to drink a cup of Xinghui tea, just to relieve your greasiness. Huh, you have Xinghui tea? Yue Feiyan stared at her red eyes in amazement. It just happens to have some. Liang glanced at the sluggish Lu Chuan and said lightly, Zio Nuo make Xinghui tea. Yes. Mino resisted his timidity and went to ask the boss for a pot of hot water. She pulled out the wooden box containing tea leaves, a tea bowl, and 2 small teacups from the package. Put the tea, add water, and pour 2 cups of tea in an elegant posture. When the bunny-eared girl made tea, she lowered her head the whole time, her blue eyes staring at the teacup. On the contrary, it gives people a very focused performance, which makes people feel a little ritual. Please taste Xinghui tea, Liang gestured with his hand up. Okay. Yue Feiyan looked at the green tea and took a sip of the teacup. The entrance was bitter and the red-haired girl had not had time to express her opinion, and a touch of sweetness immediately greeted her mouth, which made people squint her eyes happily. At the same time, a touch of coolness rushed to the head, which shocked people. At the same time, the hot tea enters the stomach, and the stomach and intestines feel smooth. There are 3 feelings that can be resisted by a few people. Hey Yue Feiyan opened her mouth slightly and made a reverie voice. Is it so delicious? Lu Chuan was a little dumbfounded. Didn't it mean that Xinghui tea is very scarce? Why did it suddenly come out? Is it true that prolonging one's life is also true? 3 consecutive questions asked Lu Chuan's heart, especially seeing Yue Feiyan's performance, which made him want to know the answer. Tusk every time I drink it, it makes people intoxicated. Liang took a sip of the tea, ignoring the eager gaze projected by a certain man. This tea is really great. It's the best tea I've ever had. Yue Feiyan drank the remaining tea in the teacup in one sip, her red eyes staring at the teacup. If you drink this kind of tea every day, it would be so happy. How does it feel to drink Xinghui tea? Liang poured a cup of tea for the red-haired girl and asked, I didn't lie to you, did I? Yue Feiyan blurted out, if you drink this kind of tea every day, you will definitely live longer. It's strange to be so happy every day. Yue Feiyan drank the tea again and couldn't help but asked, can you trade me some Xinghui tea leaves? No, I don't need anything else, Liang refused. I think you didn't bring anything, how can you not lack anything? Yue Feiyan glanced at the package next to the rabbit-eared girl and said with a smile, you will definitely have to hurry afterwards, it's better to bring a little more. Liang frowned, turned his head and asked, Zioyu, how many fierce beast spars do we have? My lord, our fierce beast spar is almost used up in the previous tribe. Liu cleverly knew how to cooperate, lowered her voice and said coldly. Also, looking for that miss needs some rewards. She clearly knows Yue Feiyan's strength and can definitely hear her deliberately suppressed dialogue. Of course Yue Feiyan could hear, so she took the opportunity to say, I can use the fierce beast spar for some star tea leaves. A box of Xinghui tea leaves, how many fierce beast spars do you think of? Liang reluctantly said. He didn't know how many fierce beast spars could be exchanged for Xinghui tea, so he could only ask the red-haired girl to bid first. 10 elementary high-grade fierce beast spar. Yue Feiyan thought for a while and asked for a price. No, too little. Liang shook his head and said faintly, at least 100 elementary high-grade fierce beast spar. He is no longer a little white who has just crossed into this world. After chatting with a white-haired girl, he has learned a lot of basic common sense. Fierce beasts are divided into 3 levels, junior high school and high school. Each level is subdivided, upper, middle, and lower third. Therefore, he decided to raise the price 10 times. Deal, Yue Feiyan readily agreed. Liang was stunned, but he didn't react for any reason. What's wrong with you, don't you pay the price, or did I quote the price lower? At this moment, Liang was stunned by the operation of the red-haired girl. Can you give me some tea now? I'll bring the fierce beast spar over tonight. Yue Feiyan needs to take a little tea to her mother to taste, so that she can trade the fierce beast spar. Yes, Liang nodded with complicated expression. Then I'll go back first, and I will bring you the fierce beast spar tonight. Yue Feiyan wrapped a little Xinghui tea with a piece of cloth, and hurriedly took the maid away. Before leaving, she paid the lunch fee. Seeing Yue Feiyan gone, Lu Chuan stepped forward and asked, "Well, can you give me some Xinghui tea leaves?" Mu Liang glanced at the counseling man and said faintly, "I want to exchange Xinghui tea, a box of 150 elementary high-grade beast spars." "Isn't it 100?" Lu Chuan shouted in astonishment. "I only have the last box left." Mu Liang asked calmly, "Do you want it? I will keep it for myself if I don't want it." "Of course, yes." Lu Chuan gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice, "I'll go back and get you the fierce beast spar." With a dark face, he got up and strode away. Mu Liang didn't want to understand and turned to ask, "Liu, do you think my offer is missing?" "The price you quoted shocked me a lot." Liu rolled her beautiful eyes. She was really frightened. 100 junior high-grade fierce beast spars could already be exchanged for 10,000 caddies of dried meat in Dasheng. But in small places, the fierce beast spar generally can't be replaced with too much dried meat. After all, the small tribe can't use the beast spar, that is, it will use some when making strengthening secret medicine. So it's not that I reported less, but that Big Miss is a super rich woman. Mu Liang said inexplicably. He did not expect to meet such a refreshing rich woman one day. There is an inexplicable feeling of not wanting to work hard. "What do we do now?" Mino asked blankly. Of course, I sat down to have lunch together. Mu Liang smiled and said, "After eating, we will find a place to stay for one night. Tonight, he will have a large amount of evolution points in his account, and he can evolve and domesticate beasts again. The 5th level domesticated beast is near, cough cough." A violent cough echoed in the wilderness. "Boss, the smell came from just ahead." The tracker finished coughing and pointed to the pile of rocks in front of him. "Send a few people up to search." Bloodbeard pulled his beard and ordered. After several days and nights of chasing, the blood-red beard turned gray. He recalled what happened in the canyon last time and added, "Yezha, you take people up." "Yes." Yi Zhao's face changed slightly, and he gritted his teeth and led the team to search. Now no one dared to question the words of Bloodbeard, and those who dared to doubt and complain were already lying on the road coldly. "Not after a while, Several screams echoed in the sky. "Step on." Yi Zhao clutched his bleeding arm and ran back in embarrassment. "A trap again?" Zoobeard saw the familiar white rope on Yekai's arm. "No, it's a fierce beast spider." Yijak gritted his teeth and tore off the white spider silk on his arm. "This is spider silk, not rope. In other words, we have been tracking a zone beast spider." The Bloodbeard breath is full of violence, the bloodline pupils turn, and the murderous lock on the tracker. He can't help the irritability in his heart. "Boss, what if this fierce beast spider is a fierce beast domesticated by Thieves 16? The tracker turned his head quickly and said guessingly, "Then everything is clear, why the thief can climb up the hill to steal things. He is all relying on the help of the fierce beast spider." "What about the thief?" Bloodbeard had a gloomy face. "Two roads with a lighter smell go in that direction." The tracker sniffed the air and turned and pointed in a direction. Yuetan tribe. Bloodbeard looked at the tribe at the foot of the mountain, gritted his teeth and said, "Unexpectedly, the thief came from the Yuetan tribe. Boss, it may have come to offer a reward." Cunning Fox reminded faintly. "Reward." Bloodbeard remembered the messenger of the Moon Lake tribe who had been tortured and killed before. "If you want to surrender him to become elder, you just have to offer a crystal fish." Bloodbeard was so angry that his beard exploded and killed the envoys on the spot. "Boss, let's check first and see if anyone has completed the reward. If not, we may be able to snatch it back." The sly fox pointed to the fierce beast spider on the pile of rocks and reminded, "The thief hides the domesticated fierce beast spider here, maybe not necessarily in exchange for a reward. It is also possible that preliminary negotiations are in progress." The tracker suddenly said, "If a reward is offered for trading, it will be safer to bring the domesticated beast around instead of placing it in the wild. Then you guys go to the Yuetan tribe to find out next. Star me where the thief lives." The Bloodbeard ordered hoarsely. "If the thief did not complete the reward, the crystal fish must still be there. Then he will snatch the crystal fish by himself regardless of whether he is in the Yuetan tribe or not." Yes, the sly fox and the tracker took the initiative to take them to the Yuetan tribe. On the way, the sly fox and the tracker were talking quietly. "Do you want to leave now?" Gihu asked lightly. "No, I have to help him one last time." The tracker took a look at the people behind him and lowered his voice. "If the crystal fish is in the hands of the Yuetan tribe, it's hard for you and I to go back and explain it. Cunning Fox waved his hands indifferently and said relaxedly, I have been lurking for 5 years, and now no one says anything when I go back. Who would have thought that the crystal fish was not stolen by you and me, but was stolen by someone else? The tracker's tone was full of helplessness. The two came from different tribes, and their targets were all crystal fish, and they had fought openly and secretly with each other. Who would have thought that after a few years of secret fighting, the crystal fish was stolen without seeing the shadow of it? He didn't trust us at all and wasted a few years in vain. Gihu stretched out. Have you really decided to go? Don't try again. The tracker frowned, wanting to see if Cunning Fox really meant to leave. Try what? Robbing things in the Yuetan tribe is simply looking for death. Cunning Fox waved his hand casually. Aren't you from the Moon Lake tribe? The tracker's face changed, his eyes tightly Sly Fox. Guess there was a sly in the corner of Cunning Fox's mouth. No, you are not. The tracker's face returned to normal and he moved forward. How can you tell? Gihu asked flatly. If you are a member of the Moon Lake tribe, you won't remind Bloodbeard just now, you will only leave secretly. A trace of thought flashed in the tracker's eyes and then he said, Moreover, you have many opportunities to escape on the way, so you can come to the Moon Lake tribe to report in advance. No, you are too small to look at Bloodbeard, he is not so grumpy on the surface. A trace of jealousy flashed through Cunning Fox's eyes. You are really not reconciled, you want to get the crystal fish. The corner of the tracker's mouth raised. Cunning Fox narrowed his eyes, knowing that he had been tempted for a while. He didn't dare to underestimate the stalker. He could escape every time when the Bloodbeard was violent and murderous. It was no longer something ordinary people could do. Cooperate, the tracker said closer. How to cooperate? Gihu glanced at the gate of Yuetan tribe. The more chaotic the better, isn't it? Let the Bloodbeard rush in front, otherwise we won't be able to do without the Moon Lake tribe when we get the crystal fish. The tracker said indifferently. Do you want to send out the news of crystal fish in advance? Gihu said in astonishment. No, that's too stupid. The tracker shook his head and whispered, If the news of the Bloodbeard coming to the Moon Lake tribe reaches the thief, what do you think he will do? Either secretly take the crystal fish to leave the Yuetan tribe, or hand the crystal fish to the Yuetan tribe. Gihu instantly thought of two possibilities. Which one do you think is the most likely? The tracker smiled. The thieves are more likely to hand over the crystal fish to the Yuetan tribe. Cunning Fox became more jealous and said coldly, I think you should be called Cunning Fox. Then, we need the Bloodbeard to make a fuss so that we can take the crystal fish away in the chaos. The tracker smiled indifferently. He didn't think he could escape the tracking of Yuetan tribe, otherwise he wouldn't be able to escape when he got the crystal fish. The Bloodbeard would be a suitable bait. Otherwise he will face 33 Yuetan tribe and Bloodbeard at the same time. The two paid the entrance fee and entered the Yuetan tribe. Can Yuetan tribe stop Bloodbeard? A trace of worry flashed through Cunning Fox's eyes. If Yuetan tribe didn't stop Bloodbeard at first, then crystal fish would not have their share. He can't resist the Moon Lake tribe, the strength of the Moon Lord is very strong. The tracker said indifferently. Maybe. Sly Fox's expression was ambiguous. Then, whoever can win the thief at that time will depend on their own abilities. The tracker stopped and looked up at the hotel in front of him. The smell of the two thieves was in the hotel in front of you. Or, let's grab the crystal fish now. Gihu raised his eyebrows and urged. Do you think you can avoid the Bloodbeard after you get the crystal fish and escape? A sneer appeared at the corner of the tracker's mouth. Or do I think I can solve the thief silently? Don't let the people of the Moon Lake tribe discover it. Whether it's the Moon Lake tribe or Bloodbeard, the two can't get around. Only when the two sides are facing each other can they have a chance to get the crystal fish. Sly Fox squinted. If there is no Bloodbeard outside, he might try to take a risk now. Go back and report to the boss, saying that he has found the location of the thief and let him sneak in at midnight. The tracker asks his subordinates to spread the word. Yes. And we need to draw the Moon Lord away and let her touch Bloodbeard. Let me spread the word. In a large house in the center of the Yuetan tribe, quarrels were heard at this time. We should abandon those useless people, they are dragging down our tribe. An old low growl was venting his own dissatisfaction. Impossible, they are all members of the Yuetan tribe, and I cannot leave them alone. The Moon Lord's momentum was not weak at all, and he rejected Elder's proposal. If this continues, our Moon Lake tribe will perish sooner or later. Big Elder roared. With me, the Yuetan tribe cannot be destroyed. The Moon Lord is majestic and confident. How long can you last? Don't forget the new generation. Without water awakening, our tribe will have no water to use. Elder asked, Yue Feiyan is a fire-type awakened, and the next generation is likely to be a fire-type awakened. What will you do then? The water source of the Moon Lake tribe is the water system awakening ability from the Moon Lord. In other words, every generation of Moon Lords is a water system awakener. Sometimes the three generations of water system awakeners are in the same place. At that time, the Yuetan tribe was at its strongest. It's just that with the current new generation, Yue Feiyan is actually a fire element awakener, making the entire Yuetan tribe lose confidence in the future. Isn't there still a crystal fish? This time I personally went to find the Bloodbeard to bring back the crystal fish. The Moon Lord said lightly. In the past, she could not leave the Yuetan tribe in order to condense the water, but now she can only let the tribe endure days without water for a few days. Are you still thinking about the crystal fish? I got the news that the Bloodbeard crystal fish has been stolen. Elder roared angrily. The disappearance of the crystal fish forced him to come back to the Moon Lord to discuss the reform of the Moon Lake tribe. Before hearing the existence of crystal fish, Yuetan tribe had new hope. Now that the crystal fish disappeared, the big elder was desperate. When did it happen? The Moon Lord's face became solemn. She wasn't calm anymore. The crystal fish disappeared, which meant that the Moon Lake department would begin to decline after it came to her generation of Moon Master. The news came from the spies this morning. Big Elder's old face was full of fierceness. Hurry up and drive those useless people out of the tribe. We are about to start saving water. Let me think about it. Yuezhu rapped his forehead tiredly and waved his hand helplessly. She can only use the tactics of procrastination, which can last for a while. HMPH, I only hope that the Yuetan tribe will not be defeated in our hands. Elder snorted and threw out the door, main entrance. My mother, I'm back. Yue Feiyan rushed in, her long, fiery red hair fluttering. She saw the big elder with anger on her face and quickly stopped and said respectfully, Big Elder, you're finished talking W. Oh tilde, Big Elder glanced at the red-haired girl, couldn't help sighing, shook his head and left. What's wrong with me? Every time I see me, I sigh. Yue Feiyan curled her lips, her red eyes flashed with sadness. Doesn't she know? No, she knows everything. However, the red-haired girl has nothing to do, she is just a fire-type awakened person. Feiyan coming. Papa. Yue Feiyan patted her cheek vigorously, clutching the Xinghui tea leaves in her pocket and trotting in to look for her mother with a smile. When she entered the hall of the house, she saw her mother sitting on the main seat with a tired face. What is the background of those three people? Moon Master beckoned and asked. The leader is called Liang from Black Tortoise City. He came to our Yuetan tribe by looking for someone. Yue Feiyan obediently stepped forward, came behind her mother to help press her temples, and whispered the information she had obtained from the temptation. Among them, she concealed part of the transaction of Xinghui tea, and she had to sell it first before taking it out. If Black Tortoise is really the same as he said, then it is definitely a super city. The Moon Lord's expression was a bit disapproving. Mother, do you think what he said is true, or is it false? Yue Feiyan asked seriously. It's half true and half false. It's hard to understand the specific situation by words alone. The Moon Master raised her eyes comfortably, enjoying her daughter's massage, and said with a chuckle, As long as the other party is not here to make trouble, just leave them alone. By the way, I traded Xinghui tea from Liang. After Yue Feiyan sold her for a while, she took out Xinghui tea leaves from her pocket. Is the tea from the sacred tree of Black Tortoise City really as mysterious as he said? Can it also prolong life? The Moon Master curiously took the piece of cloth and opened it and looked at it. It was just ordinary dry tea. The only difference was that the leaves were relatively large. If you take a dip, you'll know. Yue Feiyan smiled slyly. She drinks tea once a day and prepares the tea skillfully, Yue Feiyan urged. Mother, you have a taste. Okay, the Moon Lord smiled pettingly, concealing the fatigue of his eyes. She picked up the teacup and looked at it. She was surprised to find that the tea leaves spread out in the tea water. The green spots were dazzling like stars. Before drinking it, the Moon Lord was already a little bit convinced. After all, such a beautiful tea has never been seen before. Spray tilde, the Moon Lord took a sip and suddenly narrowed his eyes, intoxicated. After a while, she eased from the happy aftertaste, and she was surprised to see the tea in her hand. Mother, how is it? Yue Feiyan asked nervously. Very good. If you drink it often, it is indeed possible to prolong your life. Moon Master Yu was amazed by Xinghui tea. She used the water system to have excessive awakening ability, and the pain in her head was relieved unexpectedly. That's good. Yue Feiyan breathed a sigh of relief, and then cautiously said, I have fought for a long time with Liang before we can get a box. Let's talk. What price did you pay? Moon Lord, as the mother of the red-haired girl, knew her daughter's careful thoughts after a little guess. 100 elementary high-grade fierce beast spars, Yue Feiyan whispered. What? Moon Lord widened his eyes and asked in disbelief. You say it again? How many junior high-level fierce beast spars? A 100 pieces. Yue Feiyan shrank her neck. You prodigal maiden, my old lady must give you a meal. Moon Lord's forehead blew veins violently. The probing hand is about to grab the red-haired girl. Oh. Mother also likes Xinghui tea, it just soothes your headache. Yue Feiyan avoided flexibly. She turned around and ran out, leaving a fresh voice. I have taken the fierce beast spar and I will bring back Xinghui tea tonight. It's really mischievous. The Moon Lord shook his head favorably, looked down at the tea in his hand and drank again silently. For a while, she again had a headache thinking about the future of the tribe. The Moon Lord looked at the entrance of the hall, stunned, muttering to himself, should you move away to find a source of water? But tilde. She sighed helplessly. The old stubbornness in the tribe doesn't want to leave. Only by becoming a Moon Lord can you know how tired you are, and you must gather water every day, and you cannot leave the Moon Lake tribe. To be honest, her daughter Yue Feiyan is not a water awakener, but makes the Moon Master happy, at least not having to live a life like a water-producing doll in a cage. It would be great if life could move into the big city. The Moon Lord thought of Elder inexplicably, dreaming of developing the Moon Lake tribe into a big city all day long, but thinking about it, he knew the impossible. Relying on her alone to condense the water source, it is only enough for the tribe. Not to mention, the number of people will only increase when they reach the level of big cities. If there is a crystal fish, you can try to build a big city. The Moon Lord shook his head, throwing away unrealistic thoughts. Water source. Where can there be endless waters? I don't want to be the master of the month, ta. While the Lord of the Moon was grumbling, a rush of footsteps came, interrupting her contemplation. A guard bent over to report, Master Yue, someone just sent a message to his subordinates, saying that the Bloodbeard will appear in the Yuetan tribe tonight. If the order is passed down, the hunting team will increase patrols. The Moon Master solemnly ordered, Yes. The guard ran down to deliver the order. Why does Bloodbeard come to the Moon Lake tribe? The Moon Lord frowned and thought. A few seconds later, she had a flash of inspiration and remembered what Elder had said, the Bloodbeard crystal fish was stolen. Could it be that the person who stole the crystal fish came to the Yuetan tribe? The Moon Master suddenly got up and strode out. She thought of crystal fish's reward, and it was normal for someone to steal the crystal fish and come to the Moon Lake tribe. It seems that the person who informed the news may be the NPC who stole the crystal fish. The Moon Lord decided to take the initiative to find the crystal fish, and to get the crystal fish before Bloodbeard. As long as she is within the scope of the Moon Lake tribe, she can use her own awakening talent to sense the fluctuation of the crystal fish's ability when it activates the talent. At this time, the Moon Lord was waiting for crystal fish to activate his talent. Night falls. In the inn of the Yuetan tribe, Liang is receiving Lu Chuan. You count the number of fierce beast spars. Lu Chuan reluctantly handed over a bag of fierce beast spar. No need to count, I believe you are a human being. Liang took the cloth bag and weighed it. He glanced at the palm prints on Lu Chuan's cheeks and he could imagine how they came from. Can you give me Xinghui tea? Lu Chuan stunned his face. When he came home and talked to his grandfather about Xinghui tea, he was slapped. He didn't know where he was angry. When he came back, he got angry with him. Fortunately, Lu Chuan's grandmother loved him more and secretly gave him the fierce beast spar. Take it, Liang handed over a box of Xinghui tea. Lu Chuan copied the wooden box, opened it carefully and smelled it. He stuffed the wooden box into his arms and left without a word. Heh, Mino laughed suddenly. He must have been beaten by his family, Liu said with a smile. The person who can take out 150 elementary high-level fierce beast spars must be one of the high levels in the Moon Lake tribe or a certain real power elder. It doesn't matter, it's good to get the fierce beast spar. Liang reached into the cloth bag and touched the fierce beast spar. Ding, if an energy object is detected, is it transformed into an evolution point? Transformation, Liang ordered in his heart. Ding, successfully transformed, gain evolution points, 15,000. Liang listened to the numbers reported in his mind, and his face showed excitement. 15,000 evolution points can already evolve a level 5 domesticated beast 33. Moreover, there are 5,000 evolution points left after evolution. As long as the 100 fierce beast spars of the red-haired girl come over, plus the original evolution point. Liang has more than 25,000 evolution points, and the 2 level 5 domesticated beasts are basically stable. Knock tilde. There was a knock on the door. Who? Liu became vigilant in an instant. It's me, Yue Feiyan. The passionate, hearty voice of the red-haired girl came from outside the door. Crack tilde. The door opened, and Yue Feiyan came in with the maid. She handed over a bag of fierce beast spar and asked curiously, I saw Lu Chuan at the door just now, why is he downcast? He also came to trade Xinghui tea, and there is a slap mark on his face. Mu Liang took the fierce beast spar. Oh, I get it. Yue Feiyan nodded faintly and said as usual, it must be his stubborn veteran who disagrees and was taken over. Mu Liang was stunned, and suddenly found that the counseling man was really pitiful. He handed over another box of tea and did not provoke Lu Chuan's topic. The person you are looking for, I have ordered someone to find it. Yue Feiyan is happy to take the tea, so my mother should be able to reduce some headaches. She held the wooden box tightly and said softly, with the characteristics of a mutant, there should be results tomorrow. After all, the Yuetan tribe said it was big and not small, and it was not difficult to find a mutant among the 10,000 people. Thank you, Mu Liang thanked him sincerely. Yue Feiyan approached. Jiao Han said, Mu Liang, you can tell me about the Black Tortoise City. Then what do you want to know this time? Mu Liang felt that it would be nice to talk to the red-haired girl about the future of Black Tortoise City. The city of Black Tortoise in his mouth is the future homeland on the back of the rock tortoise. I want to know if Black Tortoise is short of water. Yue Feiyan blinked her red eyes and asked. When Liu heard this question, she frantically winked at Mu Liang, reminding him not to speak. Mu Liang ignored the eyes of the white-haired girl and said gently, Black Tortoise is not short of water. We have a crystal fish. Liu reluctantly covered her face and found that it was a mask. It's great, it would be great if our tribe had a crystal fish. Yue Feiyan sighed with envy. Doesn't your Yuetan tribe have water? Mu Liang asked curiously. Our tribe only relies on the mother to condense the water. It is really too hard. Yue Feiyan was a little depressed. She is a fire awakener. She has great expectations from the time she was born, and after her awakening ability, she ushered in many disappointed eyes. I didn't understand when I was young. The red-haired girl once saw her mother fell down from exhaustion, and the next day she had to condense the water. She gradually understood the responsibilities she should shoulder. Why does Yue Feiyan yearn for the outside? She wants to find something to replace her mother to condense the water. Does your mother condense the water of the entire tribe alone? Mu Liang opened his mouth in astonishment. Yes, since my grandma passed away, my mother alone has been responsible, Yue Feiyan said bitterly. It's really great, Mu Liang awed in awe. Although he thinks this kind of person is stupid, he really admires it. Yue's red eyes flashed with pride and sadness, and she would rather her mother not be so great. Hee, what do I say about this? She smiled reluctantly, got up and said, Well, I will come to you again tomorrow when I have time. Walk slowly. Mu Liang watched the two red-haired girls leave. He closed the door and said with emotion, It seems that everyone has a hard-to-read scripture. Mu Liang, how did you expose the crystal fish matter? Liu took off her mask and reminded, Don't forget we are still in the Moon Lake tribe. BGFF, but I don't have a crystal fish on my body. Mu Liang spread his hands and looked innocent. I can't say you. Liu was stunned, then turned her head away with a pursed lips. Turn your head and take a look at this. Mu Liang shook his head, raising his hand to condense a ball of water. He knew that the past experience of the white-haired girl made her too cautious and did not intend to correct it. With such a character, he can live long in the world of the end of the wasteland. What? Liu turned her head and stared blankly at the water polo floating on Mu Liang's palm. She raised her hand and carefully touched the surface of the water polo, and the touched part rippled. It's really water, Liu said in astonishment. It's not water, what do you think it is? Mu Liang was amused. I thought it was an illusion. Liu blinked her white eyes vigorously. She has no way to calculate the number of awakening abilities that the man in front of her has. Every once in a while, it will show a new kind of awakening ability. Wow. Mu Liang, when will you condense water? Mino's blue eyes were round and his rabbit ears trembled. I will wake up yesterday morning. Mu Liang made up an excuse at random. He didn't tell what he got from domesticated beasts. It's better not to tell some secrets than to tell them. Maintaining a sense of mysteriousness can also increase the charm of a man. Can you drink it? Liu pursed her dry lips a little thirsty. Sure. Mu Liang handed the water polo forward and said, Just suck it with your mouth. Gyuru tilde. Liu leaned forward, her pink lips sucked in the water ball, and her snow-white throat was rolling. I want to. Mino also leaned forward, learning the white-haired girl to suck up the water polo on the other side of the water polo. The water polo was sucked and slipped several times. Mu Liang looked at the water ball getting smaller and smaller and the girls' faces getting closer and closer. The two girls shouldn't kiss each other. In the end, Mu Liang was disappointed. The girls stopped when they sucked the water polo and left their fists. So full. Mino rubbed his belly happily. Liu Xiang's tongue rolled up the water stain on the corner of her mouth and commented, "It's no different from ordinary water. Really, let me try it." Mu Liang raised his head and snuck into his mouth with the remaining water polo. He made a serious comment. "How do I feel a little sweet?" "Mu Liang, why did you drink?" Liu's pretty face quickly spread crimson, her hands twisted and rubbed each other. "Drink our water, that's not bad." Mino is also a little shy, with the bunny ears clinging to each other shyly. She is not like she just met now. After the white-haired girl's communication, she has learned some knowledge that a girl should understand. For example, drinking water from each other's mouth will give birth to a child. "I don't waste water," Mu Liang said uninspiringly. Knocking. When the atmosphere changed, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" Liu quickly put on the mask, already holding the longbow in her hand. "I, Moon Lord, would like to meet the owner of the crystal fish." An elegant and generous female voice came from outside the door. Moon Lord," Liu's face changed drastically. She anxiously took the arms of Mu Liang and Minuo and walked towards the window. "Go away, I'll stop the Moon Lord." Liu lowered her voice and urged. "Mu Liang, take Mino away quickly." The three came to the window. "Okay, be good, leave it to me to deal with it." Mu Liang shook his head slightly moved and pressed the white-haired girl's shoulder. Yes, but Liu was anxiously speechless. "It's okay, you have to believe me." Mu Liang raised his hand and flicked the white-haired girl's forehead. Before he turned to open the door, he smoothly touched the pale cheek of the girl with rabbit ears. Squeak tilde tilde. The door opened. Appearing in front of Mu Liang's eyes was a 27-8-year-old woman, and standing beside him was a somewhat dazed Yue Feiyan. "Your Excellency Mu Liang, don't you ask me to go in and sit for a while," the Moon Lord said with an elegant temperament. She has aqua-blue short shoulder-length hair and a pair of aqua-blue eyes gleaming charming. "Please come in," Mu Liang smiled gently and stepped aside. "Excuse me." The Moon Lord lightly opened his red lips and entered the room gracefully. When Yue Feiyan passed by Mu Liang's side, she opened her mouth slightly and opened silently. "I don't know why my mother came to you." Mu Liang nodded slightly and then sat leisurely in front of the Moon Lord. Slightly. The door was closed by the maid from outside. "I don't know if the famous Moon Lord is here to find what's going on," Mu Liang asked straightforwardly. He recalled all his actions today, wondering if any flaws were revealed. The Moon Lord said elegantly, "I'm looking for your excellency to talk about the crystal fish." "Crystal fish? Is it about the crystal fish of Black Tortoise City?" Mu Liang asked with a smile on his face. He glanced at the red-haired girl who was obediently standing next to the Moon Lord, and seeing the stunned expression on the other's face, he knew what was wrong with Yue Feiyan. "I can feel the condensation of water," the Moon Lord said inexplicably, and an elegant and confident arc was lifted from the corner of his mouth. "As long as he is a smart person, he will definitely understand what she means." "So what?" Mu Liang's black eyes flashed. He suddenly understood why the other party had found it. Hu Liu exhaled quietly, her tight body also relaxed, and she also understood something. She raised her hand and patted the tight back of Mino's hand and gave a relaxed look. The Moon Lord frowned slightly, but didn't get the answer he wanted. Instead, she clearly perceives the changes in the atmosphere of the three people in front of her, but she doesn't know why. "Today, someone notified me of one thing." The Moon Lord pulled the water-blue hair around his ear and said with a light smile, "Said that the Bloodbeard has come to the Yuetan tribe." "Oh?" "Bloodbeard dared to come to your Moon Lord's Moon Lake tribe. Aren't you afraid that you will kill him?" Mu Liang said in surprise. He was really surprised that the trap he set up didn't even kill the Bloodbeard. He also asked the other party to find the Yuetan tribe, indicating that Bloodbeard has a master with tracking ability. Moon Lord's aqua-blue eyebrows are even more frowning. The expression on Mu Liang's face is the only thing she didn't see the emotion she wanted. If you steal a crystal fish with a blood beard and hear that the host has found it, you should be panicked, and afraid. However, she didn't even see the basic shock reaction on Mu Liang's face. Liu's silver-white eyes were round, and her small mouth opened in astonishment. The white-haired girl was wearing a mask, so she didn't let the Moon Master notice it, otherwise seeing her expression would show a lot of things. Mino didn't need to be afraid of being exposed at all. She was already in a state of timidity, her entire face tightly together, her small hands rubbing the corners of her clothes nervously. "Your Excellency Mu Liang, I can sense the cohesion of water. The natural ability to condense water, except for the awakened, belongs to the water spirit beast alone." The Moon Lord tentatively did not get the information he wanted, and he was not discouraged. She lifted her red lips gracefully and then said, "Just a while ago, I sensed that there was water condensing here. Don't you think that I have a crystal fish hidden here?" Mu Liang raised his volume in surprise. Yes, the Moon Lord nodded gracefully and confidently. I think you might have misunderstood. Mu Liang's expression was weird. He didn't expect the Moon Lord to be able to sense the condensation of the water element. Misunderstand. The Moon Lord blinked charming eyes and smiled red lips. I don't think I can feel wrong. I gather water every day and I can clearly sense the changes in the water in the Yuetan tribe. Cough cough, Mu Liang twitched the corners of his mouth and cried out in his heart abnormal. This woman has used the water system's awakening ability Toppervert to the extent that she perceives the tribe's water usage. Your Excellency Mu Liang, don't you believe it? Moon Lord raised his chin slightly. She was going to tell the man in front of her with facts so that he would stop struggling. The old lady has seen through all the truth. No, I believe it. Mu Liang shook his head gently. He did not underestimate this woman who gathers water every day, but sometimes things are so ingenious and coincidental. Your Excellency Mu Liang, don't worry that I will take the crystal fish. The Moon Lord crossed his hands gracefully on the table, indicating that he was not malicious. Mu Liang opened his mouth to explain. I can increase the cost of water control to 1/15th, the Moon Lord said with a serious expression. She didn't want to use anything to threaten Mu Liang. For example, the target of Bloodbeard outside was Mu Liang's business. Wow. Mu Liang opened his palm, and his palm quickly activated the water element cohesion ability, and a ball of water the size of a blue ball was suspended on his palm. He was too lazy to explain in words, and directly used his ability to make the woman in front of him recognize the reality. This Moon Lord's charming pretty face was full of astonishment, with red lips and small mouth open, and he didn't know what to express. The same awakening ability as the mother. Yue Feiyin muttered to herself in absent-mindedness, as expected that she was a mother and daughter with the Moon Lord, and she also looked dazed with her pink lips and her small mouth. I think what you should sense is my awakening ability. Mu Liang raised his hand and put the water polo into the wooden barrel in the room. Sorry, I didn't expect that your Excellency is also a water system awakener. I was too abrupt. The Moon Lord is worthy of being the leader of a tribe. He quickly recovered his grace after losing his temper and apologized. It doesn't matter. Mu Liang returned with a polite smile. The Moon Lord looked at Mu Liang's appearance, and when his mind turned, he suddenly had an idea. She charmingly blinked her slender eyelashes and asked, Your Excellency Mu Liang, can I take the liberty to ask you a question? You can ask, Mu Liang nodded in surprise. He thought that the Moon Lord would leave in embarrassment, but he didn't expect to stay for a long talk. Your Excellency Mu Liang plans to live in the Moon Lake tribe for a long time. The Moon Master pulled up the hair around her ear, half squinted her eyes, and said charmingly, I can marry my stupid daughter to you. Mu Liang and Yue Feiyin widened their eyes, looking at the smiling woman in amazement. For flowers. No, Minuo was the first to blow up her hair immediately and couldn't help yelling. This red-haired woman can't marry Master Mu. Yes, my family, my adults still have tasks to do and cannot stay in the Moon Lake tribe. Liu also completely lost her composure, waving her hands and incoherently stopping her. Her aqua-blue eyes scanned between the two girls and Mu Liang, her expression thoughtful. Yue Feiyin was startled by the reaction of the two girls. She frowned her red eyebrows, tilted her head and thought, red-haired woman. Are you talking about me? My idiot daughter, what do you think about marrying His Excellency Mu Liang? Moon Lord looked at her stupid daughter and couldn't help but want to tease her. Mother, don't talk nonsense. Yue Feiyin blushed and shouted, Where is your Excellency Mu Liang? Although my daughter is a little stupid, she is very capable. The Moon Lord burned the flames of war on Mu Liang, who had been on the sidelines. Zero, if you ask me, I think I can give it a try, Mu Liang thought seriously. Liu and Minuo exclaimed in disbelief. It seems that my daughter is very attractive. The Moon Master could see that Mu Liang was playing with her on purpose. Mother, stop talking. Yue Feiyin's neck was dyed red, and she couldn't stand it anymore and threatened in shame. If you talk nonsense, I will complain about you. Cough, cough, the Moon Lord coughed gracefully and stared at his daughter with a smile. You started talking nonsense first. Yue Feiyin hummed her lips. Well, that's all for today's fun. Moon Lord stood up gracefully. Her temptation failed again. The original intention was to use a joke to test whether Mu Liang had the idea of staying in the Yuetan tribe. However, with 3 more hairy girls, she didn't try anything out. Moon Lord walked to the door. She turned to look at Mu Liang with a smile and said coquettishly, I just said to marry a daughter. Your Excellency Mu Liang can really think about it. Okay, I will consider it seriously. Mu Liang returned with a gentle smile. Oh, tilde tilde. Moon Lord looked at Liang with a gentle and elegant expression and sighed inwardly. She wanted to leave a water system awakened temptation for the Moon Lake tribe, but failed again. It's all because of my daughter's lack of charm. Mother, hurry up, you should go back to sleep. Yue Feiyan flushed and dragged the Moon Lord's arm to the outside. Don't pull so fast, I'm not sleepy now. Mother, you must have not slept well today. You have said a lot of messy things since just now. But I'm thinking about your future. I'm going to find a husband on your own. I'm afraid I'm going to be an old woman. Ah, Yue Kinlan, let's talk about it. Cough, don't call my old lady's name impolitely. In the alley opposite the hotel, there were many people hiding in the shadows. At the forefront are the tracker and the cunning fox. What's the situation? Why did the Moon Lord suddenly come here? The tracker had a stunned expression and looked blankly at the back of the Moon Lord entering the hotel. Shouldn't she patrol around or stay in the central area waiting for the signal of Bloodbeard's invasion? What else can happen? The thief must have contacted the Moon Lord in advance. Cunning Fox gritted his face, gritted his teeth and said, besides, we did it alone. They intended to ask the Moon Lord to look for Bloodbeard, and then the two rushed in to snatch the crystal fish. Unexpectedly, the Moon Lord directly found the thief here and wanted to take away the crystal fish before Bloodbeard arrived. Quickly, go and notify the boss to come over. The tracker turned his head to his subordinates not far behind and shouted, it means that the Moon Lord has already contacted the thief, and it will be too late if it is too late. Clear. Several people rushed out of the alley and rushed towards the Bloodbeard hiding outside the Yuetan tribe. There is still a chance. I was thinking about launching an offensive at midnight, but now I can only move ahead. The tracker squinted at the hotel. He originally wanted to give Bloodbeard a wrong place to seduce him to fight the Moon Lord, but he didn't expect that with the sudden visit of the Moon Lord, everything would have to be overturned in advance. With the arrival of Bloodbeard, can we still have a chance? A hint of calculation flashed under Gooey Fox's eyes. Do a good job of taking advantage of it, and 033 to grab the crystal fish randomly. I hope that Bloodbeard can give us a little trust, and as long as the Moon Lord is dragged, we can escape. The tracker felt a little uneasy. He is a Tier 3 mutant, he is still an auxiliary type, and he may not be able to escape. There is no way for the tracker, and the population of his tribe is increasing. If there is no more water to go back, many people may die or some people will be driven away. In the apocalyptic world, there is not much right and wrong. The only thing there is survival, bloody survival of the weak are prey to the strong. You and I are already competitors from now on. Cunning Fox looked at the tracker's back, holding and placing his palms lightly. It depends on the strength of Bloodbeard, the tracker half said, suddenly turned his head and looked towards the dark street. Ta-ta-ta. The 1-meter-high figure walked out from the darkness of the street. Bloodbeard carried a dead patrol with his head tilted in his hands, followed by Yi Zhao and Blood Knife thieves. The Moon Lord hasn't got the crystal fish yet, right? Bloodbeard threw the corpse casually and asked murderously, where is the thief? The thief was in the inn in front, and the Moon Lord did not come out. The follower couldn't hold back a step back. Oh, it seems that the thief has something to do with the stinky woman of the Moon Lord. The Bloodbeard grinned and showed yellow teeth, and the bloodshot eyes in his pupils expanded rapidly. The troubles these days have made his irritability almost overwhelming. Boss, do we want to rush in and hit them by surprise? The tracker couldn't help but urged Zio. You're right, you two take the lead and rush forward. The Bloodbeard nodded in agreement with a grin. Papa. After he finished speaking, he drew a long knife and patted the stalker and the cunning fox on the shoulders. Ah. Just the two of us, the tracker's face changed, and a panic flashed under his eyes. Boss, only the powerful you can resist the Moon Lord. Cunning Fox squinted his eyes, pretending to be timid, and complained. We are not the opponent of Moon Lord at all. He was tensed, his squinted eyes rolled, ready to escape at any time. Are you rejecting me? The smile on Bloodbeard's face disappeared. No, let's go. The tracker gritted his teeth. With only one more sentence, the two of them led to find the way. Cunning Fox has been observing Bloodbeard for 5 years and understands if he refuses again. In the next second, the head will fall to the ground. But the front is also dead, the Moon Lord is stronger than Bloodbeard, and there is absolutely no way out in front of him. Retreating is also dead, and the rest can only escape. The tracker and the sly fox walked to the hotel side by side. They looked at each other and they all understood what they were thinking. Cunning Fox opened and closed his mouth silently. I called 1, 2, and 3 and fled separately. Yeah, the tracker nodded imperceptibly. 1, 2, 3. As the sly fox walked, his mouth opened and closed silently 3 times. Boom, the tracker slammed on the ground and the whole person went out to the street on the left. While he was running, he opened his mouth and yelled, "The Bloodbeard is in. Where do you want to go?" The figure of the Bloodbeard appeared behind the tracker in an instant, and a huge shadow enveloped his figure. "Boss me," the tracker's face changed drastically, and he opened his mouth to explain. "What?" A blade of light flashed. Bloodbeard flicked the blood from the long knife, turned his head and stared at the still sly fox. He said with a hoarse voice, "Not obedience, playing clever. Don't dare." Cunning Fox was so scared that sweat came out on his forehead. He is now sure that Bloodbeard hides most of his strength and is definitely not a Tier 4 enhancer. Because Cunning Fox himself had hidden his strength, and on the surface he was a Tier 3 mutant. In fact, as early as 3 years ago, he was a Tier 4 mutant. Go back. The Bloodbeard grabbed the sly fox by the neck and slid behind him. He tilted his head with bloodshot eyes and stared at the three figures that appeared at the hotel gate for some unknown time. "Bloodbeard, I didn't expect you to really dare to come to the Moon Lake tribe." The Moon Master pushed the red-haired girl and the maid back. "Mother, be careful," Yue Feiyan said worriedly. "Don't worry, you will get rid of the other party soon." Moon Lord walked forward with grace while pulling his sleeves. "Smelly woman, hand over my crystal fish." Bloodbeard raised his long knife and pointed it at the Moon Lord's neck and said murderously, "If you don't pay, I'll cut you off. You are still one of the few people who dare to speak to my mother like this." The charming face of the Moon Lord chilled with the words, "pretending to be." Bloodbeard shook his body, strode towards the Moon Lord and slashed at his neck with a long knife. Wow tilde tilde. The water flowed like a column, suddenly gushing from the ground, against the Bloodbeard's arm swinging the knife. "Death to the old lady." The Moon Lord raised his white fist, jetting water from his elbow, and his fist hit the Bloodbeard's face like a cannon. Boom! The Bloodbeard's face was sunken and deformed, and the whole person was thrown out and rolled out 10 meters on the ground. "Boss," the thieves shouted in panic. "Bah, where are you crying? Shut up." Bloodbeard quickly stood up, spitting out blood and angrily. He flicked a long knife and provocatively said, "Sure enough, a woman is a woman, and his fist is as weak as a child. When I catch you, I must lock you up as a pet that produces water." Bloodbeard continued to provoke. He raised his hand and scratched the beard of his chin, his fingers drawn a long, thin red line. "My mother hasn't been angry for a long time." Moon Lord's aqua blue eyes flashed with cold light. She took the initiative to attack. Ta ta ta. The long, slender legs moved gracefully and quickly. Wow! The figure of the Moon Lord was quickly wrapped in water, and his hands were condensed into two flowing water whips. Slap tilde tilde. The air exploded and the water whip drew towards the Bloodbeard. Boom! Bloodbeard hid, and the ground was thrown into a crack by the water whip. If a person was drawn, he would not die or be disabled. It's worthy of being the Awakener of Tier 6. He glanced at the crack in the ground and suddenly tore the red line at the chin in his hand. Ridicule, the red thread was torn off, a pair of lion ears appeared on the Bloodbeard's head, and the pupils were immediately full of blood. Blood lion form, he roared, his figure doubled in an instant, flashed past the drawn water whip and approached the Moon Lord. "Die," Bloodbeard slashed with a long knife. Tangy tilde tilde wow tilde tilde. There was a splash of blood and the water flow slowed for a while and swept away the Bloodbeard. Cough, cough, cough. Moon Lord's face was pale, her palms tightly covered her stomach, and blood leaked out between her 5 fingers. She was too careless. She didn't expect that Bloodbeard had hidden her identity. She was actually a mutant or a speed-type blood lion. "Mother." Yue Feiyan's complexion changed drastically, and the flames all over his body were about to rush over. "Don't come here," the Moon Lord stopped with a hoarse voice. But Yue Feiyan has long developed an obedient consciousness, so she stopped and looked worriedly at her mother's shaky figure. "Don't worry, I'm fine." The Moon Lord quickly used his abilities to block the blood in the wound. "Ha ha ha, Moon Lord, you are weaker than I thought." Bloodbeard slapped the blood on the long knife and said contemptuously, "Is it just finished the water today? Otherwise, how could it not be able to dodge my knife?" He was a little grateful that Moon Lord condensed water had consumed a lot of physical strength, otherwise he would have killed half his life in the first punch. Sly Fox's pupils tightened, watching the Bloodbeard form with fear. It's a Tier 5 mutant, no wonder. He now fully understands why the Bloodbeard would give him a strong sense of crisis on weekdays, and it turned out to be a mutant. Gihu glanced at the head of the tracker on the ground and muttered, "I reminded you, don't underestimate Bloodbeard." The old lady was actually put together. The Moon Master shook his head dizzy. According to the previous rest, she should now lie on the bed and recover the physical strength consumed by the condensed water. "Moon Lord, hand over the crystal fish, I don't need to kill you." Bloodbeard glanced at the flames rising from the distance of the tribe. People from the patrol team and hunting team who were led away will soon find out what's happening here. He only had a short time to retreat. Crystal fish, ha ha ha, it hurts my old lady. The Moon Lord suddenly burst into laughter, and he dared not laugh anymore until he got a wound in his stomach. What are you laughing at? Bloodbeard's grumpy temper came up again. In the past, in order to hide his identity and suppress the side effects of the blood lion mutation, now he no longer has to bear it. 5.5 I laugh at you for being a fool. The Moon Lord suddenly pressed his hands on the ground and shouted, Water cube. Wow! A large number of water droplets appeared in the air and the ground, quickly condensing towards the blood beard. A huge square of 5 meters by 5 meters immersed the blood beard in it. Just stick to it a little longer. The Moon Lord forcibly resisted the dizziness coming from his head, biting his mouth and lips to refresh his mind. She controlled the flow of water in the water cube, which made Bloodbeard lose its momentum and made him struggle in the water. Boss, the thieves' expressions changed drastically. Japanese letter within a few seconds, the winner suddenly turned upside down. Quickly attack the Moon Lord. Cunning Fox reminded him with a cold call. Go, Blood Knife and Yi Zhao rushed up immediately. Opportunity is here. Gihu glanced at the people present and looked up in the direction of the hotel. He knew that the Moon Lord did not get the crystal fish, otherwise he would not be empty-handed. As for the big miss from the Moon Lake tribe, the small wooden box in his hand cannot hold a crystal fish at all. The sly fox crossed everyone and rushed into the hotel. Now is the time to kidnap the thief. The crystal fish is very likely to be hidden in a pile of rocks outside the Yuetan tribe, where the fierce beast spider guards it. He is not the opponent of the fierce beast spider, but threatening the thief to take the crystal fish is not easy. Time goes back a few minutes ago. Liang, are you really considering marrying that red-haired woman just now? Mino put his hand in his waist, pouting his dissatisfaction with a small mouth. Obviously, within a day of meeting the two talents, Liang wanted to marry each other. The earless girl lowered her head and glanced over her chest and was flat enough to look at her toes. Isn't it just a bit bigger than her? In a few years, no one will be smaller than anyone else. Humph tilde tilde Liu took off the mask and did not speak. She hummed twice and stared at Liang coldly with her arms around her chest. She knew Liang earlier than the red-haired. Yo murmur. Are my two princesses jealous? Liang raised his eyebrows and said lightly, it seems that I have to take some action. Who is jealous? Liu Kaio flushed and put on the mask again shyly. Jealous, what is vinegar? I didn't eat it. Mino was stunned, frowning his beautiful eyebrows and said along his mouth, Liang, don't you want to change the subject? Cough, cough, cough. Liang coughed slightly, looking helplessly at the girl with bunny ears who could put soy sauce on her mouth. He moved his hands with a smirk at the corners of his mouth and walked slowly towards the girls. Liang, what are you going to do? Mino opened his small mouth and backed away in a panic. Liang, Minuo is still too young to be able to. Liu consciously stopped in front of the earless girl, shyly spreading her arms to stop her. Too young, Liang was stunned. His expression on his face was strange for 16 years. Didn't you want to? Liu blushed and hung her head, shy that she couldn't speak. What are you thinking? I just want to tickle you. Liang stretched out his hands as he spoke and quickly scratched the girl's armpit. Ha ha ha, don't. Liu laughed from tears from scratching her eyes, twisting her body to avoid the tickling. Mino looked blankly at the two who suddenly started fighting. Wasn't it my torture first? Why did you play first? Boom. Suddenly the door was kicked open suddenly. The joyous atmosphere froze. Cunning Fox put down his raised feet and looked at the hands of a man in the room, stretching out to the chest of a woman with a mask. He squinted his eyes and said with a sneer, Thief, you will really enjoy it. Misunderstanding, I am tickling it. Liang put down his hands in distress. Ah, another day of misunderstanding. Whether you are tickling or having fun. The sly fox moved his hands and snarled impatiently. You obediently follow me, and it's okay to hand the crystal fish to me, otherwise you lack arms and legs and I don't care much. The time he has now is very short. If he doesn't take away the thief before the Moon Lord and Bloodbeard finish their entanglement, he will have no chance to lave. What? Liu turned over and quickly touched the longbow, and the long arrow struck the bowstring in an instant. I've said it all, you don't have to suffer hardship if you obey your words. Cunning Fox shook his body, flashing from left to right and rushing towards Liang. He ran so fast that the white-haired girl couldn't aim. 10 fingers popped out of sharp claws. The claws of the cunning fox are long and hard, which can easily scratch people's throats. Come here. He grabbed Liang's throat with his paw. As long as he didn't struggle, he wouldn't die. It's really fancy. Liang launched mimicry scaly hardening, and his arms spread like 3-color electronic circuit diagrams. Boom, a punch slammed past and the sly fox in the hammer rushed over his face. The bridge of the nose was broken and most of the teeth were broken. Impossible, cunning fox didn't have time to be shocked and the whole person died. Nothing is impossible. Liang squatted down, picked up the sly fox's back collar and walked outside the hotel with his backhand. Not long ago, he felt the fluctuation of the water element outside and some roars. Liang originally had the mentality that more is better than less, and he was going to tease the two girls, but he didn't expect that the other party would come to the door. He murmured as he walked, "Isn't that Moon Lord very strong? Why did he let the miscellaneous soldiers come up?" Liu stared at Liang's movements blankly and reluctantly put down the bow and arrow in her hand. She turned to face the girl with rabbit ears and whispered, "You stay in the room, I will go out and have a look." "Okay, be careful, it's messy outside." Mino nodded obediently. "It's okay." Liu pursed her lips and smiled. She took the whole barrel of arrows and rushed to the outside of the hotel silently. At this time, rumbling, the flames soared into the sky and fireballs blasted towards the blood knife and the night jackal. Mother Yue Feiyan tightened her pink lips worriedly, sweating on her face, manipulating the flames to prevent the thieves from approaching her mother. "Give up, the Moon Lord can't hold on for long." Yi Zhao dodged around, avoiding the rushing fireball. "A bunch of bugs." Yue Feiyan gritted his teeth and scolded, as a large ball of fire hurled over to force the two of them back. She turned her head and looked at her mother through the time interval and saw that the Moon Lord was already kneeling on the ground and the water cube was also crumbling. Also, it's almost. Moon Lord's physical strength and consciousness were almost reaching the limit at this time. The blood from the wound in her stomach had no extra ability to plug it up. The condensation of the water cube is also about to dissipate. Facing with the two of us, you still dare to be distracted. The blood knife split a ball of fire and burst into the red-haired girl 2 meters. He learned the saber technique from Bloodbeard since he was a child, pursuing quickness and ruthlessness. Go to hell. The blood knife held the long knife high and slashed towards Yue Feiyan's neck. "It's over." Yue Crimson's red eyes trembled, knowing that it was too late to hide. She gritted her teeth pale, preparing to explode all the flames of physical strength and dragging the two in front of her to die together. Call out. A figure flew from the side and suddenly smashed the blood knife out. "Who?" Yi Zhao backed back quickly, fixed his eyes, and there were 2 figures standing at the entrance of the hotel. "Who tilde tilde," Yue Feiyan gasped, her body softened, and she almost sat on the ground like a duck. She supported the ground with both hands and tried her best to suppress the flames raging in her body. "You are really wolves and foxes," Liang said leisurely. "Who are you?" The blood knife pushed away the figure pressing on the body, and after a closer look, he knew that it was a cunning fox. Everyone present knows what the sly fox did just now, and now that it appears here it means. He looked at the door of the hotel and said angrily, "You are the thieves."
The thief.
"Although I don't know why you call me that." Liang stepped forward and said faintly, "But I am not very satisfied with this title." "This person is not easy." Yi Zhao retreated to the blood knife. "My father must be rescued." The blood knife's eyes flashed fiercely. Yue Feiyan only needs 100 elementary high-grade fierce beast spar. Liang came to the red-haired girl with a smile at the corner of his mouth and said, "For a price, I will help you solve them." Yue Feiyan's dry pink lips opened slightly. Well, after all, the Moon Lord couldn't maintain the water cube, and the water volume of the entire cube collapsed and dissipated. Ha 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 cough. The blood beard lay on the ground panting and laughed out the rest of his life. "Moon Lords, you finally can't hold it anymore. I promise you, no matter how many fierce beast spars are." Yue Feiyan grabbed Liang's arm and begged, "As long as I can save my mother. As long as the beast spar is enough, there will be no problem." Liang patted the back of the red-haired girl's hand. He walked towards the blood beard and the other party finally let him make a fortune. It was really a blood-sending money boy beard. "Who are you? Come to die?" Bloodbeard stood up, chatting with Liang coldly. "He is the thief," 33 blood knife reminded in a low voice. "I'm so daring, it turns out that you stole my things and now you dare to show up in front of me." The blood beard had a hazy face, flicking the drops of water from his hair and holding the long knife in his hand tightly. "Stealing things, I usually only take things." Liang came to Bloodbeard with a calm face. "Hand over my crystal fish or I will put you in a life and death dilemma." Bloodbeard held up the long knife high, preparing to chop off the cluttered arm in front of him. "Then it depends on your ability." Liang waved with a smile on his mouth. "It's over, he actually dared to provoke the boss." Yi Zhao shook his head gleefully. Sneezing, Zhu Dao smiled contemptuously, feeling that everything was stable. "Be careful," Liu Changjian had already locked the blood beard at this time. Daimi, the blood beard opened and slashed with a long knife. It's full of flaws. Mu Liang's black eyes flashed, and the figure did not retreat, but suddenly rushed into the blood beard with a horse stance on his body, lifting his elbow to his heart. A heart-to-heart elbow hit the blood beard's heart instantly. Puff. The blood beard flew up and a blood spurted out of his mouth. Despair. Mu Liang raised his foot and stepped on the ground, and a stone thorn suddenly bulged on the ground, facing the place where the blood beard fell. Puff, the rock pierced through the back of the blood beard and protruded from the front chest. Fake, fake. Blood Knife and Yi Zhao widened their eyes in horror, staring at the blood beard hanging on the spur of the rock armor in disbelief. Just die, Yue Feiyan was stunned. She felt a little dreamy. The whole process only took a few seconds and the blood beard died like this. Cough, cough, the Moon Lord sat on his knees in duck style, looking at Mu Liang's back vaguely with aqua-blue eyes. My mother was actually protected one day, Papa. So many bells and whistles. Mu Liang clapped his hands lightly, and it turned out that the special killing technique in the army was more practical. Daimi, the blood knife, held the long knife and slashed towards Mu Liang. Call out. A long arrow pierced through the air, hitting the neck on the side of the blood knife. The blood knife followed the stagger 2 steps forward and finally fell to the ground weakly. Escape, Yi Zhao roared. He took the remaining little thieves and ran to the other side of the street. It's just that it didn't take a while. Several screams came from deep in the street. Ta ta ta. A rush of footsteps came from the street. Allah, a hunting team and patrol team members wearing animal skin armor quickly appeared around. They guarded the Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan in the center. So it's here when it ends. Mu Liang spread his hands, not knowing how to complain. Someone with the finishing touches is here, and he is going to go back to the hotel. Stop, don't move. In an instant, several people stopped shouting, shut up all to me. Yue Feiyan cursed with a stern face. He is our savior, what are you calling? Waiting for you to come and collect the corpses. The yelling people suddenly lost their words and withdrew their weapons in a shameless manner. It seems that I will look for opportunities in the future. Mu Liang shrugged helplessly, thinking that he could try his own limit. A few people in the hunting team didn't know if it wasn't for the red-haired girl to stop it. Mu Liang just started the conflict and beat them all to test their strength. Ta ta ta. After a while, another team arrived. Guarding several gray-haired old people in the middle. Where is the Moon Lord? Elder pushed aside the crowd and shouted nervously, is it okay? Here, the hunting team allowed a passage. Elder and several old people hurriedly entered the guard circle and saw the pale Moon Lord lying in Yue Feiyan's arms and the blood stains on the wound cloth on his belly. How is the injury? Will it affect tomorrow's water gathering? Elder asked anxiously. Are you blind? Yue Fei had a pretty face, glaring at him and wanted to curse. Feiyan, don't talk nonsense. The Moon Lord weakly shook his head to his daughter. She is injured now. If these old stubborns make use of the problem, they may not be able to protect her daughter. Where's the doctor? Come and have a check. Big Elder's face went dark and shouted. He is not in the mood for the time being and cares about the attitude of the red-haired girl. If there is a problem with the Moon Lord, the water stored by the Moon Lake tribe will definitely not last long. The origin of the name of the Yuetan tribe is that there is a crescent-shaped water pool in the middle of the tribe, which is also the place where the tribe's water source is stored. However, the pool has not been full for a long time. Coming. A female doctor hurried over, her face uglier the more she checked. She shook her head to everyone and said solemnly, the injury is very serious and it will take a long time to recuperate. Can't you heal it quickly? Big Elder stared. Resting means that water cannot be condensed. I don't have a good secret medicine. The female doctor dropped her head helplessly. She only knows a little bit of trauma treatment and some local treatments, and she is not a doctor in the big city with an exclusive secret medicine. Damn it, Big Elder hammered his thigh angrily. He turned his head to look at the old men around him and asked in a deep voice, what should I do now? Do you have any good solutions? What can we do? Or quickly let the Moon Master take a good rest. The tribe will start saving water today. Slaves and handymen in the periphery, let's give a bowl of water in 2 days, so that you can hold on for a few more days. Okay, just follow this one. In a few words, several old men gathered together to finish the discussion of the water conservation plan. Anything? Mu Liang stood by, staring at the operations of several old men dumbfounded. Said it is water saving, it is completely deducting the water used by slaves and handymen. As for the water consumption of the rest, the phrase reduce water consumption by 1/3 was passed. This is the truth. Liu helped the mask on her face and said coldly, many tribes don't care about the water used by the people below. They hope that some people will die so they can share a little less water. The wrong thing is this world. Mei Liangbei has once again seen the cruelty of the wasteland doomsday world. The environment forces people to lose their humanity just to protect themselves. He will never become such a person. After the elders had discussed it, they began to preach to the Moon Lord. Moon Lord, you should stay in the house tonight. Catch the thief and let the people handle it. Otherwise, why do we raise so many people? If you make it like this, the whole tribe will be short of water, do you know? The blame came out one after another. They were really afraid that something happened to the Moon Lord and the Yuetan tribe would run out of water. You old guys, shut up for me, Yue Feiyan roared angrily. The red-haired girl was so angry that smoke came out of her head. If she was not holding her mother, she would definitely hit it with a few fireballs. Yue Feiyan, what is your attitude? Elder scowled and reprimanded loudly. If you are a water system awakened, we people don't have to worry about the tribe. What's my attitude? You don't look at your ugly faces. Yue Fei's face was so angry that she ignored her mother's winks. She raised her finger to a few elders' faces, tearing her face and yelling. Just because you are worthy of saying that it is for the tribe, why don't you see that you are also the water system awakeners? It will only rely on a bunch of bugs from my mother. You are making trouble unreasonably. Elder's old face couldn't help being said. His face was gloomy and he asked in anger, Yue Kinlan, look at the daughter you taught. Is this how we talk to Elder? How did you talk to my mother? My mother is the Lord of the Moon, the leader of the Moon Lake tribe. Yue Feiyan is full of combat effectiveness and scolds hoarsely. As for how my mother taught me, of course it taught me how to scold some bugs. You are unreasonable. Big Elder shook his fingers and flung his sleeves away in anger. Yes, he can't really say that the red-haired girl, in order to no longer lose face, can only retreat temporarily. She is too stubborn and willful, let's go too. The remaining elders looked at each other and left one after another, for fear that the red-haired girl would catch them and scold them. Really a funny person, Mu Liang laughed blankly. The red-haired girl's sturdiness, once again unexpectedly a person scolded all elder away. Is that interesting? Liu muttered, staring at the red-haired girl with a comfortable face. Cough cough, don't study it. Mu Liang quickly dispelled the white-haired girl's interest. A scene of a cold girl kicking in and cursing the street, he felt that the style of painting collapsed after thinking about it. Oh, Liu's silver-white eyes flickered. Humph, Yue Feiyan Tsundir snorted softly. After she scolded, the feeling of suffocation for many years suddenly became more comfortable. The red-haired girl was addicted to scolding just now and completely let go of herself. If it weren't for the old men to run away, she would have to scold for a while. Cough, Yuezhu coughed slightly and rolled his eyes. She squirmed her bloodless lips and said in a bad mood, Feiyan, you want to offend everyone when the old lady can't beat you now, right? They were too much and I scolded them. Yue Feiyan flattened her mouth aggrievedly and said in an uncomfortable voice, Mother, you are obviously injured and they still remember the water source. It's really hateful. Okay, the world of adults is like this. The Moon Master shook his head lightly and strenuously raised his hand to hold his daughter's hand. The world of adults only talks about benefits. If it is useless, others may forget it in the blink of an eye. Why didn't she know her own situation? If it weren't for her ability to condense water and her strength, those old stubbornness would have ousted her from the position of Moon Lord. I don't care about adults or adults. If they treat you like this, I will scold them again. Yue Feiyan stubbornly cast his lips. The red-haired girl doesn't think too much, just wants to protect her mother in this way. Idiot daughter, I really don't know what you're going to do in the future. The Moon Lord smiled dozingly. What, why am I stupid? Yue Feiyan said with a small mouth, acting cute and acting like a coquettish. Well, how long do you have to sit on the ground? Isn't it cold? Mu Liang reminded me. If he didn't remind them, would the mother and daughter quarrel on the ground until dawn? Cough. Yuezhu's pale face was stained with blush. She shook her daughter's good hand vigorously and reminded, Feiyan, take me home. Okay. Yue Feiyan was about to hug her mother hard and found that her leg was numb. Her pretty face stiffened, her red eyes exuded a pathetic, weak voice. Mother, my feet are numb. You are such an idiot. A touch of helplessness appeared on the charming face of the Moon Lord. Her pretty face flushed slightly, blinking her long eyelashes, weakly begging, Your Excellency Mu Liang, can you please take me home? This is not good, right? Mu Liang hesitated. Mu Liang, help me quickly. Yue Feiyan took the girl's unique charm and said, Hold my mother home, and I will get you the fierce beast's spar. No problem, Mu Liang stepped forward and picked up the Moon Lord. The light and soft one does not have any weight, and the whole is soft and soft like a doll like flowing water. Hey tilde tilde, the Moon Lord was relying on Mu Liang, and the man's unique aura greeted him. There was a blush on her pale cheeks. I don't know why the Moon Lord doesn't hate this kind of breath, and the smell is completely different than other people can smell. I'll bring Mino here. Liu glanced at a dull woman. She was worried that Mu Liang went to the central area alone. Good, Mu Liang said softly. Master Mu, what do you hold this ant for? As soon as Miner came out of the inn, he made a crit when he opened his mouth. Ant, the Moon Lord's charming expression froze, and his heart seemed to be pierced by a wooden arrow with Ant written on it. She turned her head and smiled at Mimi, looking at the girl with bunny ears, a little urge to pull her ears. My mother is injured, so I trouble Mu Liang to hug it. Yue Feiyin winked at the rabbit-eared girl quickly. Her mother is a little concerned about her own age, and it will be recorded in the animal skin notebook. Oh, is Ant seriously injured? Mino asked with a pretty face full of concern. Ah, you can call me Moon Lord or Moon Big Sis. The Moon Lord smiled and reminded me of kindness on his face. I have been called Ant all the time. This will make me look older. But Mino's blue eyes flashed a little sly. Yue Feiyin, lead the way. Mu Liang's mouth twitched, and his eyes turned to look at the Moon Lord who was grabbing his tickled little hand. Then let the earless girl line up with the charming woman. He is the one who suffers. Yeah, come with me. Yue Feiyin quickly led the way. Mu Liang hugged the Moon Lord and walked behind in a princess hug posture and finally followed by the two girls. Minuo, you were so brave just now. Liu praised as she walked beside the rabbit-eared girl. She then asked curiously, why didn't you be timid just now? I saw Mu Liang holding that ant and I was inexplicably upset. Mino pursed his small mouth, so upset that it overwhelmed the sense of timidity. Obviously, she and Mu Liang have known each other for the longest time and they have never been hugged like this. It's really upset. 33 Liu raised her head and looked at Mu Liang's back. Later, she was even more upset. Ah. With her strength, of course, she could hear the murmurs of the two girls behind. The Moon Lord turned his head slightly, faced the girls with a smile, and blinked their blue eyes provocatively at the girls. Yes, she was retaliating and provoking the earless girl, so she actually called her aunt. I'm so angry. Mino pursed his mouth, angered like a squirrel. Damn, it's old woman. Liu gritted her teeth. Old woman's. The lunar master's breath trembled at the corner of his eyes, and suddenly he gave birth to a plan. She opened her mouth and silently challenged the two girls with her mouth. I was held by Mu Liang, envy you. You must have never been held by him. Understand in seconds. Minuo and Ryu instantly understood what Yuliu's mouth meant to express. Damn it, there is still the strength to provoke us. She clearly has the strength to go by herself. I want to go over and expose her. Mino was so angry that his ears were exploding into a big V shape, and he was about to step forward in a huff. Don't, she really can't move. Liu quickly grabbed the rabbit-eared girl. She glanced at the graceful Moon Lord weirdly, who could have thought of having a childish side. HMPH, the Moon Lord saw the white-haired girl's weird gaze and let out a triumphant hum. What's wrong, did you hurt you? Mu Liang pretended not to know the line of the three. No, it's okay. Moon Lord's aqua-blue eyes flashed with a hint of panic. BGFF shook his head pretendingly. Need me to go slower? A smile flashed under Mu Liang's eyes. No, the Moon Master shook his head quickly and stopped teasing the two girls behind, pretending to be. Minuo angrily tugged at his own rabbit ears. Forbearance first, we will leave tomorrow. Liu looked at the rabbit-eared girl's ears and really wanted to ask, does your ear hurt like this? Oh, Minor nodded sullenly. The pure rabbit-eared girl failed for the first time against a black-bellied woman. Ta. All the way under the protection of the hunting team, entered the house in the central area of the tribe. Just put my mother on this bed. Yue Feiyin led a few people into the bedroom. Okay. Mu Liang gently put the Moon Master on the bed. Mother, are you okay? Yue Feiyin looked at her worriedly. The red-haired girl had no idea that just now, her mother was still trying to tease the two girls. Let's go out first. Mu Liang took the two girls out and made room for the Moon Lord to treat the wounds. Good, Mino nodded obediently. When she turned around, she spit out a little fragrant tongue to the Moon Lord. Hee, it's so cute. Moon Lord saw it sharply and suddenly laughed. The next second will be a tragedy. It hurts, she pulled her wound. You are so hurt, still in the mood to laugh. Yue Feiyin is a little confused about her mother's current state. She touched her mother's forehead and said, did you hurt your head? Why is it a little weird today? I have been injured before, but none of them is as weird as today. Ah, is my daughter disgusting that her mother is old? The Moon Master pretended to be sad, raising his hand and wiping the corner of his eye. Stop acting, I won't be fooled. Yue Feiyin cast his lips in disgust. Do you still think of her as a 14-year-old girl? Now that she is 17 years old, she won't be fooled anymore. It's not fun to have grown-up facial features. Moon Lord lowered his arm and uttered boredly. Play, Yue Feiyan's mouth flicked. She was helping to treat the wound further and she couldn't help herself when she heard this. Stupid daughter, you can do it with a little strength. My old lady can't take it anymore. Moon Lord sucked in pain, her charming face wrinkled. The pain is right, it means you haven't broken. A trace of distress flashed across Yue's crimson red eyes. Her mouth was unforgiving criticism. Mother, I sometimes seriously suspect that you were born for fun. Cough, who said? The Moon Lord coughed quietly. She silently looked at the red-haired girl with her head down and bandaged, and couldn't help sighing in her heart. My daughter, the debt owed by Big Sis is for you to pay. If I don't tease you, I will feel unwilling to think about it. She is a woman who has never been in love or married, but she has a daughter. Damn it, my twin Big Sis, what truth are you going to pursue by yourself? Leave me a daughter and ran away. What else? My daughter is your daughter. Who said that? I still want to ask you. Yue Feiyan carefully bandaged the wound and put on new clothes for the Lord of the Moon. Nothing, I don't think you are too dull. Moon Lord's aqua-blue eyes looked erratic left and right. I can't say that she is too boring. Every time I see the puffy face of a red-haired girl, I feel cute inexplicably. Huh, I'm not dull. Yue Feiyan's pretty face softened. It turned out that my mother was playing tricks on her because she was unhappy. Let Liang come in. I have something I want to talk to him, the Moon Lord said with an elegant temperament. Okay, Yue Feiyan checked the wound again before going out to call someone. Little while. Liang took the two young girls into the bedroom and saw the pale Moon Lord on the bed, feeling like a sick beauty. At this time, after the Moon Lord changed into new clothes, he was not as embarrassed as before. Your Excellency Liang made you laugh. The Moon Lord is graceful and generous, pursing his pale lips slightly and said gratefully, Thank you for your help. No thanks, this is a deal. Liang waved his hand with a smile. Suddenly he thought that the blood beard was running towards the crystal fish, that is, running towards him. Then the woman in front of him is helping him with the knife. A deal? The Moon Lord's slender aqua-blue eyebrows raised and said softly. Then, Your Excellency Liang, would you like to make a deal with me? Well, if you told me to marry Yue Feiyan, stop making such a joke. Liang took the lead to block it, letting this black-bellied woman act as the demon's direction. What? I say no one wants the same. Yue Feiyan stared at her angrily. What do you mean by marrying me? Stop making jokes, am I bad? Liu and Minuo glanced at each other and shouted in their hearts, That's too right.
Lord.
I didn't even want to say this. Is it possible that His Excellency Liang really fell in love with my stupid daughter? The Moon Lord narrowed his eyes and looked at the appearance of Liang and Yue Feiyan with interest. She nodded softly and said lazily, Look carefully, you guys are pretty good. 1 point also no so and worthy. Minor Ryu hid behind the white-haired girl, making a dull voice every word. Ryu gave the rabbit-eared girl a thumbs up in her heart. Well done, that's it. Yue Feiyan nodded dully. Ah, Moon Lord twitched, the smile on his face completely froze. My idiot daughter, if it weren't for my old lady's pain, I'll take you to sleep on your stomach today. Ahem, that, Moon Lord, what kind of transaction did you just say you want to make? Liang forced the conversation around. Let the Moon Lord continue, the three young girls around him are about to explode again. Deal. The Lord of the Moon asked quietly, Your Excellency Liang, what do you think of the Moon Lake tribe? The Yuetan tribe is pretty good, with enough people and big enough land. Liang thought about several advantages at will. Really, I want to hear the truth, not such perfunctory words. The Moon Lord lifted up his snowy bow. The truth, are you sure? The smile on Liang's mouth disappeared. Of course you can comment. Moon Lord's aqua-blue eyes flashed earnestly. In my opinion, the Yuetan tribe will perish sooner or later and the time will be soon, Liang said astonishingly. Liang, what are you talking nonsense? Yue Feiyan exploded, her red eyes shining with fire. Suddenly she said that her home was going away. Feiyan, don't interrupt His Excellency Liang. Moon Lord's voice raised slightly and stopped. Oh, Yue Feiyan bit her lip and shrank her neck aggrievedly. Sorry, Mr. Liang, please continue. The Moon Lord lowered his head apologetically, paused for a while, raised his head and said, Please speak boldly, I want to hear comments that you can't hear from others. Since you have said so, then I'm not welcome. Liang is not accustomed to people, although sometimes he is gentler, but it is also very scary to be serious. Please speak, Moon Lord's eyes were bright. First of all, the way the Yuetan tribe exists makes me feel unbelievable. It actually depends on one person for its existence. Liang crossed his arms and said calmly, As long as this person does not exist, the Moon Lake tribe will be completely destroyed. I think you also understand the true portrayal is like tonight. Police Liang glanced at the red-haired girl, admiringly said, Tonight I think Yue Fei's face is quite right. Some people are just blood-sucking bugs. Huh, it was originally. Yue Feiyan Sundir raised her snow-white chin. Like tonight, you are injured and fell, and the people in the tribe are not looking for other hope. Mu Liang's black eyes flashed with sarcasm. On the contrary, I blame you. I also want to wait for you to heal and then draw your blood's life. He paused and his tone was full of warnings. This mode is pathological. If you don't change this state, you will soon die. Death. How come? Yue Feiyan Sundir's face stiffened and she looked over in disbelief. Don't look at me like this, your mother should know it best. Mu Liang raised an index finger and pointed at the black-bellied woman. Mother, is what Mu Liang said true? Yue Crimson's red eyes trembled in panic. It's not so exaggerated, but it's a bit tired. Moon Lord Shualan's eyes were half squinted, and he smiled. How could I die? I don't believe it, you fainted several times before. Yue Feiyan's face turned pale and she trembled. Moreover, you fainted more and more times. Really, this time I have a good rest, and I can fully recuperate. The Moon Lord's tone was full of confidence, but the bitterness that flashed through his eyes concealed it well. HMPH, I will stare at you. Yue Feiyan sucked on her sour nose with a hoarse voice. You will lie in bed these few days. Yes, I listen to you. Moon Lord's pretty face was full of helplessness. She turned to look at Mu Liang, her aqua-blue eyes flashed with a hint of demand, and her voice was weak and asked. Your Excellency Mu Liang, how can I reform? Actually, I don't have a good way. Mu Liang sighed. He knows too little about the surroundings and can't give very good advice. Just give a little suggestion. The Moon Lord lowered his head weakly. Then I will say a little bit of unique insights. Mu Liang saw that the black-bellied woman was already very tired and said quickly. The first point is that the tribe can't raise idlers for nothing. It's okay to let them do some handicrafts that they can. Second, find out the characteristic products or technology of the tribe. Third, send a caravan to do business outside, instead of shutting the door at home with the only bit of water. Fourth, find a new source of water. 12th, reform the Yuetan tribe's authority to not allow too many people to intervene in the distribution of water sources. The 12 suggestions in a row made the few people present stunned. Is this a little insight? The Moon Lord muttered to herself blankly, many insights she had never thought of. She was a little suspicious of herself and fell into her own denial. Perhaps I was wrong when I took over the position of the Moon Lord. I am not suitable to be a month master at all. The leader of the tribe should be a capable person. These are some of my thoughts, you don't need to listen to them all. Seeing the black-bellied woman at a loss, Mu Liang couldn't help but explain. Everyone has their own management mode, and there is no need to force others to accept the mode. No, you are right. The Moon Lord slowed down and said softly, I think the Moon Lake tribe will do what you say, at least it's much better than it is now. Don't be eager to change, if you are too eager something big will happen, Mu Liang quickly reminded. Among the several insights he raised, many of them involved the power of the elders of the tribe. Once there was a backlash, black-bellied women might be imprisoned as auspicious water-producing babies. I'm not a fool, the Moon Lord rolled his eyes charmingly. Mu Liang's mouth twitched, the charm of this mature woman is really amazing. The Moon Lord's pretty face was serious and solemn and said, Your Excellency Mu Liang, the transaction I mentioned before, I want to talk to you now. Let's talk about it, Mu Liang nodded lightly. Your Excellency Mu Liang, I wonder if you can stay. What about the Moon Lord of the Moon Lake tribe? The Moon Lord showed an elegant smile and solemnly said, I think the Moon Lake tribe needs a man with insight like you to lead it. Ryu Minuo and Yue Feiyan widened their eyes simultaneously, making incredibly surprised sounds. Don't be kidding, Mu Liang was taken aback, then waved his hand with a wry smile. Ah, what I said is true. The Moon Lord's mouth twitched slightly, showing an unconcealable tired smile. She is really too tired and needs someone to take the load on her shoulders. I refuse. Mu Liang saw that he couldn't get it right, so he refused. He will not support the entire tribe. Mu Liang knows that he is not such a great person, he is a little selfish, and if he has the ability, he may show a little kindness. But let him be a water supply machine. Sorry, Mu Liang would rather live alone. I see, the Moon Lord was silent for a moment, then nodded blankly. In fact, she knew there was a high possibility of being rejected, but she was unwilling to give it a try. Starting from the hotel, the Moon Master saw that Mu Liang was a water awakener, and he had the idea of giving up his position to cultivate the next generation of Moon Masters. Otherwise, do you really think she would make fun of her daughter at will? It's all her temptation. On the way, the Moon Lord heard the conversation between the two girls, indicating that the day was about to leave. Therefore, she will be so radical now, otherwise she will have to observe for dozens of days before giving up the position of the Moon Master. Really don't try the current month, Lord? Yue Qinlin was a little unwilling. She didn't wait for Mu Liang to speak, and then wittily said, "My stupid daughter is the wife of the next generation of moon masters." "Mother, you are here again." Yue Feiyan reluctantly covered her slightly flushed face. "No need." Mu Liang looked at Moon Master's aqua blue eyes and could see a trace of seriousness and entanglement. "He has a mobile home like the rock tortoise. There is no need to take over a mess." "For flowers." "And it's also possible you don't think about it anymore." Yue Miao blinked his left eye profoundly. Liu couldn't help rolling her eyes when she saw it. She whispered in a low voice, "It's really like a fox-shaped mutant who can seduce people." "No, I don't have the ability to manage a Yuetan tribe." Mu Liang shook his head lightly. "It is not so easy for Huxia and Americans. It's not that there is no home." "Well, you can go back and think about it," the Moon Lord sighed. "Then we will retire first." Mu Liang nodded slightly, turned and walked outside. Ryu and Minuo followed out. "Fian, go and send the fierce beast spar to Mu Liang," the Moon Lord weakly ordered. After talking about the things she was worried about in her heart, the repressed feeling of sleepiness and pain invaded. "Z tilde." Few seconds, the Moon Lord fell into a deep sleep and made a small snoring delicately, and the slender eyebrows trembled occasionally. "Good tilde," Yue Feiyan replied in a small volume. She came to the bed lightly and helped the Moon Master to cover the quilt before turning around and leaving the room. Yue Feiyan came to the lobby. She smiled apologetically to the three of Mu Liang. "Sorry, my mother is sometimes more willful." "Zero, it's okay, she is funny." Mu Liang wanted to use the word charm, but it was a bit inappropriate to say it in front of his daughter. "She's just a wicked person." Yue Feiyan couldn't help but complain. "Wait for me, I will get you the fierce beast spar." After she finished speaking, she found that it was a bit bad, leaving a sentence and ran to another room. "Evil taste?" Liu tilted her head and nodded in agreement. "Ant's personality is a bit dark," Mino said poorly in color. "It's a black belly," Mu Liang silently completed. Just when the three of them complained about the Moon Lord, Yue Feiyan came back with a bag of Fierce Beast Spar. "Here, 100 junior high-grade Fierce Beast Spar, just a lot more." Yue Feiyan handed it over boldly. "Good." After Mu Liang accepted it, he whispered, "Then we will go back to the hotel." "I have a spare room in my house, do you want to stay?" Yue Feiyan said expectantly with her red eyes open. "No, that would be too much trouble for you." Mu Liang shook his head with a faint smile. "Now that you have rejected them, don't bother them anymore." "Okay." A trace of sadness flashed across Yue Crimson's red eyes. "The friends she finally made want to talk more. Yes, the red-haired girl regards Mu Liang who are fighting side by side as friends. Tomorrow you can come to us," Mu Liang said gently. "Then it's settled. Tomorrow I will bring you the news of the master of your portrait." Yue Feiyan showed a happy smile. "Well, it's settled." Mu Liang gave a thumbs up. When he walked to the door he paused, turning his head lightly and leaving a sentence. "If your mother wakes up, please tell her. If you can't stay any longer, you can choose to be selfish and live for yourself." Yue Feiyan stood at the door blankly. This sentence echoed in her mind. Be selfish and live for yourself. Why can't you stay? Wouldn't it be good forever? The red-haired girl was a little dazed, looking at the three people who disappeared into the darkness. There was an urge to ask loudly. "Forget it, it's the same if you ask again tomorrow." "Aha tilde tilde." Yue Feiyan yawned sleepily. She walked to her mother's room, and she was ready to lie on the bedside tonight, lest mother need help to find her in the middle of the night quietly on the way back to the hotel. Occasionally, a patrol team passed by, holding a torch and taking a look at the clothes of Mu Liang and the three of them. They all retreated with a no. Liu endured it for a while and finally couldn't help but asked, "Mu Liang, why don't you want to be the Lord of the Moon?" "I thought you would endure until when you would ask." Mu Liang shook his head amused. He did not immediately answer the white-haired girl but asked a question. "What do you think is the benefit of being the leader of the Yuetan tribe?" "The advantage, of course, is that there is no need to starve, someone is protected, and there is a lot of water to drink." Liu Kuan pointed out the benefits. "Ryu, these benefits." Mino raised his hand like a child, and the weak reminded, "We also have it at the back of the little black tortoise." "I seem to understand." Liu thought for a while before she figured it out. "Yes, the little black tortoise's back home already has many things that others can't expect. The answer, you must know it." Mu Liang stretched and lazily said, "Then I don't need to answer you." "Yeah," Liu pursed her lips and smiled. "Mu Liang, when will we return to Little Black Tortoise tomorrow?" Mino asked crisply. 033, less than a day after she left, she already missed Little Black Tortoise's back home. "It depends on the situation, don't worry." Mu Liang's black eyes flickered. Liu stopped and said softly, "Mu Liang, I want to find my companion now." She originally wanted to find Yu Fair after nightfall, but she didn't expect a series of things to happen later, and it was almost midnight now. Do you need us to accompany you? Liang raised an eyebrow and asked. Huh, Liu moved slightly and then shook her head. No, her place is relatively small. If she takes two people there, she is afraid that something bad will happen. Well then, be careful yourself, Liang exhorted. Yes, Liu nodded obediently. We will go back first and you will come back soon. Liang took the earless girl to the hotel. Liu stayed in place and watched the two disappear into the shadow, turning around lightly into an alley. She walked in a dark corner, her eyes already showing the talent eagle eye, looking for possible marks left by the corner. Since drinking Angel's tears, the virtual ghost infection has been contained, and the use of the virtual ghost talent will not increase erosion. The woman Yufer, did you forget to mark it again? Liu looked around for a while, but couldn't find the unique mark of Stedim of 4. Mark the meaning of a pattern that only the 4 team can understand. Every time I go to a new place, I will stay. I'm here, I'm leaving, I'm staying, I'm in a hidden place, etc. Easy to remember marks. The mark is left in the corner of the wall and is often covered by dust, so if you stay long enough, you should always come out and leave the mark. However, if you go far away, you must leave a very obvious mark in an obvious place. Liu looked around for a while but couldn't find any signs, not even the obvious signs far away. She suddenly thought of a possibility and said in astonishment, wouldn't you fear leave the hiding place since I last time? Nothing will happen, right? Liu's face became solemn. Thinking of this possibility, she galloped in the darkness and came to the border where the slaves stayed and the inner border where the tax citizens stayed. The white-haired girl looked around vigilantly and quickly entered an alley without seeing anyone. Ba tilde tilde Liu knocked out the few people sleeping in the alley and stopped in the middle of the alley. Crack tilde tilde. She wiped the corner of the wall, found a covered wooden board, and opened it carefully. Yufire, are you there? Liu whispered to the entrance of the cave. Quiet, no one answered. Isn't he leaving the Moon Lake tribe after forgetting to leave the mark? Liu frowned her snow-white eyebrows and decided to go down and take a look. She glanced around again vigilantly, and a short body entered the hole against the wall. The white-haired girl reclosed the wooden board with her backhand and pulled a rope next to it. On the wall outside the wooden board, the dust that had been piled up in advance slipped down and covered the wooden board again. It smells weird. Yu Feier, a confused woman, doesn't know how to do another experiment and not clean it up right. Liu wrinkled Qiang's nose and waved her hand in front of her nose. She lifted the blackout curtain in front of her eyes and a bright light came into her eyes which immediately stunned her. A familiar blonde figure was sleeping on a messy tabletop. So I fell asleep. Liu relaxed herself. She looked around and found many wooden bowls, barrels, and wooden boxes piled up. These things are Yu Fei-er's treasures, and only she can understand the contents. It has been at least 20 days. This woman is not afraid of being dull. Liu couldn't help but vomit distressedly. She pulled a piece of animal skin that was thrown aside and draped it lightly on Yu Fei-er. Huh. Yu Fei-er felt strange for a moment, her golden eyes narrowed, her figure twisted, and a fist struck in confusion. It's me, Liu's voice fell, and her dirty fist stayed in front of her nose. As long as you slow down for half a second, the white-haired girl's nose will be squashed. It turned out to be Xuanwu. When Yu Fei-er heard the sound, she blinked her golden eyes blankly. Next second, she rubbed her eyes and looked at the white-haired girl with a mask in front of her. Who are you? Yu Fei-er Liu slanted her eyebrows and said coldly. It's impossible for Xuanwu in my house to be so clean and still wearing such beautiful clothes. Really, why are you always so confused? Liu took off her mask helplessly, showing a headache. Oh. It's Xuanwu. Yu Fei's serious expression was completely thrown aside and she opened her arms and hugged it happily. Wait, Liu opened her silver-white eyes slightly, smelling a heavy stench. Wow. Xuanwu is so fragrant now, so white and tender. Yu Fei held the white-haired girl and rubbed her cheek vigorously, like a small animal playing around. Oh tilde tilde Liu's expression on her face was irresistible, letting Yu Fei increase her cheek. This confused woman loves this. Okay, hey, Liu pulled away the enthusiastic and confused woman. She looked at Yu Fei-er who was at a loss and said angrily, you shouldn't be stupid under here, right? How can I be stupid? I have to study medicines for the treatment of virtual ghosts infection. Yu Fei answered naturally and seriously. How many days have you stayed here? Liu asked curiously. She didn't care about the question of being stupid or not, otherwise this confused blonde woman would be able to talk to her for a day without annoying. 23 days, Yu Fei blurted out. I don't know if you're so confused you can remember the numbers so accurately, Liu murmured on a familiar topic. Why can't I remember the numbers? The numbers are very simple. Yu Fei was a little puzzled. Why do I talk about this topic again? Liu patted his forehead with anguish. She looked at the burrow that was about to be filled with things and asked in doubt, why are you staying here all the time? Aren't there other burrows? Every time the four-person team has to stay in a place long enough, they will find some natural burrows to transform them into hidden safe houses. The Yuetan tribe has 3 safe houses. One is located outside the Yuetan tribe and the other is the one used now. It's too much trouble, I don't want to move things. Yufei flat mouth. The jerky and water put here should have been eaten long ago. Why can't you have something to eat if you don't go out? Ryu asked in surprise, wanting to know how her companion survived. Especially the confused blonde woman in front of her. If she is not careful, she will do stunned things. I dug a hole from here and went to the house above to get something to eat. Yu Fei pointed to the side of the hole, looking like I went to my house to get something to eat. Liu's pretty face was dumbfounded, staring blankly at the 1-meter-wide hole in the side soil wall. She remembered that the upper part of the side should be the home of a small hunting team leader. Liu couldn't help being curious and asked, so how long have you taken the meat and water? It didn't take long, I took it 3 times in total. 5.5 When Yu Fei chatted about this, she said with a little bit of contentment. I took them separately every 3 days, every 6 days, and every 8 days. He couldn't hold me at all. I really thought I would be so stupid to take them every day. If you take things at a time, wouldn't it be all the things you moved away? Liu pursed her pink lips, thinking of a possibility. Yes, it's too much trouble to always go out to find food. Yu Fei nodded of course, as if I don't go out too much. Then he is really unlucky. Liu twitched her mouth, inexplicably silent for the little leader of the hunting team for a second. Unlucky, he was very energetic, making noise on it every day, yelling and annoying. Yu Fei wrinkled her face and said a little distressed, it made me unable to concentrate even during experiments during the day. Who do you think caused the damage? Liu rolled her eyes and complained. I don't know who it is. Yu Fei blinked her golden eyes blankly. There is no one, but he is not good. Liu's forehead was a little numb. She had only been out for more than 10 days and she couldn't cope with this confused blonde woman. Midnight, when Wei Zheng came home from the night shift, he thought of some conversations he heard during the patrol. His mood suddenly became irritable. What's the matter with you? The wife greeted her and took the animal skin armor and the long knife. Sir, who in the world stole my meat? Wei Zheng's middle-aged face was flushed with irritability, and he walked around in the living room. Some of the meat and water he had finally accumulated was stolen within a few days. Moreover, not only stolen 1 time, but 3 times in a row did the thief live in their home. I don't know, I have always guarded meat and water. Sar rubbed his temples a little bit distressedly and said with a sad face. It's just because when I gave a glance, I woke up and found that the meat and water were gone. This B*** D thief is thinking about our house. I went to find out. Nothing else has been stolen. Wei Zheng gritted his teeth when he said it. He finally got promoted and became one of the captains of the hunting team. The treatment was raised and the house was patronized by thieves 3 times and he almost became a joke in the hunting team. Then what to do? If it is stolen, we won't be able to store much food. Sar glanced worriedly at the inner room. I turned over the house again and I didn't believe I couldn't find a place for the thief to hide. Wei Zheng is not stupid. He was stolen 3 times in a row and he stepped outside without catching anyone, indicating that the thief was very likely to be hiding in his home. The most improbable idea was removed by him, and now in retrospect the more likely it is. 16 Wei Zheng thought of this, his heart was terrified. A thief was hiding under his nose, it was too dangerous. I'll help too. Sar rolled up his sleeves and turned the cabinet for a while. She couldn't bear to be lonely and began to talk shortly at home. Husband, when will the injury of the Moon Lord be healed? I heard it will take a long time, Wei Zheng sighed. The Moon Lord is the lifeblood of the Yuetan tribe. If something happens, everyone will leave their homes. I think Moon Lord is very pitiful. Every day the condensation water is exhausted. Sar's eyes flashed with distress. As one of the maid of the Moon Lord, she knows something about it more or less. Wei Zheng was silent, and all his hands turning over the cabinet stopped. He looked at the messy home, feeling a little bit ashamed in his heart. He was arrogant about ordering meat and water. The Moon Lord was so tired that he fainted for the livelihood of a tribe. Husband, what's the matter with you? Sire asked suspiciously. It's okay. Wei Zheng shook his head, then turned the cabinets and cabinets, but his movements were very slow. He asked casually, Sire, do you say that the Moon Lord is good to us? Of course it's fine, there would be no Yuetan tribe without the Moon Lord. Sire replied without even thinking about it. If Wei Zheng has reached the middle-aged bearded face, at this moment he is entangled in what he wants to say. Husband, it's okay if you don't want to say it. Sar put her hands on the face of her childhood sweetheart who grew up with her since childhood. The two have been together for 35 years, and they all know what little expressions mean. Oh, tilde tilde, I am ashamed. Wei Zheng thought of the command from above not long ago. He vaguely felt that there was a change, which was related to the change of the Moon Lord. Go according to your heart, don't worry about me and my children. Sar squeezed Wei Zheng's ear hard, just like he did when he was a child. She used a tolerant and gentle tone. I have always said that I have never been a drag on you. I know I will follow my heart. Wei Zheng shook his wife's palm firmly. He remembered the teachings of his father since he was a child. The man who was once the captain of the hunting team kept asking him to remember one sentence: we all owe a debt to the Moon Lord, but you can't take a woman home otherwise. Sar's gentle face changed in an instant. He smiled and compared a V with two fingers and opened and closed gestures. Of course I know, I will definitely not do anything. I'm sorry for you. Wei Zheng's forehead and back were sweating coldly. Such a reaction came from the shadows formed in childhood. Oh, why do you sweat so much? Sire smiled and helped wipe the sweat. Captain, there is a mission. At this moment, a shout came from outside the door. I'm coming right away, Wei Zheng responded in a loud voice. His face changed slightly, knowing that the time to come would always come. Go, it really doesn't work, we can leave the Moon Lake tribe. Sire brought the animal's skin armor and the long knife to help put it on. As the maid of the Moon Lord and the wife of one of the captains of the hunting team, she could vaguely guess what. Don't worry, I won't put you and your child in danger. Wei Zheng gently patted his wife on the shoulder. He turned and walked towards the door and stopped as he approached the door. I will pack my things and wait for you to come back, Sire said softly. Then I'm leaving. Wei Zheng opened the door and left. As for the thief, there will be a chance to talk about it later. At this time, Wei Zheng's yard was under the ground, hidden safe house. Look, it's here again, it's noisy in the middle of the night. Yu Feier raised his finger to the side, and there was a sound of churning things from above. I'm suspecting that the owner may be looking for you, a thief, Liu said in a bad mood. It's impossible to find me. Yu Feier waved his hand calmly and said with a little content. I dug a hole from the side of his stone steps. You're really good. Liu sometimes suspects that the blonde woman is not confused at all. By the way, Xiaoyu, you just came here. Yu Feier pulled the white-haired girl's arm and pulled it to the table. Wait, don't you want me again? Liu's complexion changed greatly, but she didn't get away from the blonde woman's palm. Oh, don't mess around. Yu Feier picked up a wooden bowl from the table and stretched it out in front of the white-haired girl. She grinned and said confidently, this is my newly researched secret medicine, and it will definitely cure the infection of the virtual ghost. You should try it quickly. I don't believe you, you must have tasted it yourself, do you believe it? Liu asked sternly. She tightened her mouth and lip and quickly retracted her head away from the unknown purple liquid in the wooden bowl in front of her. I have tasted it. Maybe I have taken too many secret medicines. It seems that I don't feel anything. Yu Feier tilted her head and said with a bit of anguish. So, I need someone to taste the secret medicine and see how it reacts. For the white-haired girl not to resist, she promised. Don't worry, there is absolutely no poison. You said the same before, but after you coaxed you to drink the secret medicine, Yan Bing had a stomachache for a day, and Alina fell asleep for 2 days and 2 nights. Liu's face turned pale and she started to accuse them. What's the situation with the two of them? Oh, those are just accidents, they are all small problems. Yu Feier pouted innocently, and her golden eyes floated to the upper right corner unconsciously. Don't try to get through it. Anyway, I don't dare to drink the secret medicine you made indiscriminately. Ryu Yizheng refused. She broke away from the palm of the blonde girl and quickly hid away so that she wouldn't be fooled by the secret medicine by accident. It's really stingy. Yu Feier deliberately squinted at the white-haired girl. It's useless for you to look at me like this, Liu said in a bad mood. Humph, I won't give you the secret medicine in the future. Yu Feier threatened like a child. She raised her chin and drank the unknown purple liquid in the wooden bowl. Spray tilde tilde. Yu Feier licked her lips, tilted her head for a moment and said, it seems that it's still a little short, why there is still no reaction at all. You are not afraid of poisoning yourself to death that day. Liu vomited with her forehead. Poisoned to death? No, I have calculated the amount of venom produced and the amount of change. Yu Feier waved his hand as if he were talking and laughing. She continued with a casual voice, I only have 63 days to live. It's better to die by poison in my own hands. Liu reacted sensitively when she heard how many days he could live. By the way, I was almost confused by you. She patted her forehead, remembering what she was here for. Me. I didn't do anything. Yu Feier blinked her golden eyes blankly. I found the angel wings, Liu said solemnly, 33. Hey, did you really find the angel wings? Yu Fei's golden eyes rushed to the white-haired girl in threes or twos. She also remembered that Liu seemed to be looking for angel wings from Bloodbeard. Well, I found it. Liu nodded her head. How is the effect? By the way, what about the flowers? Did the angel tears occur? Yu Fei muttered anxiously, pulling the white-haired girl's pocket with both hands. Stop, stop. Liu raised her hand and pressed the blonde woman's forehead and said softly, Don't worry, I will tell you slowly. You said, Yu Fei blinked obediently. Angel's tears can't cure the infection of the void ghost. Ryu decided to tell the truth. No, how is it possible? Yu Fei was completely stunned. Her golden eyes dimmed and lost their color. She squatted on the ground, weakly holding her head, and said hoarsely, Impossible. If there is any medicine that can treat the virtual ghost's infection, only angel tears will be the most likely. Although the blonde woman is naturally confused, she also knows the horror of the virtual ghost, and her heart is full of panic. It's true, I have already tried angel tears. Liu squatted down and hugged the blonde woman. After saying the bad news, say the good news. She squinted her silver-white eyes and said in a soft voice, The good news is that angel tears can restrain the erosion of virtual ghost infection. Can it stop the erosion? Yu Fire suddenly raised her head, looking at the white-haired girl with tears in her eyes. Yes, it can stop the erosion of the virtual ghost. As long as we keep taking angel's tears, we will not become monsters. The corner of Liu's mouth was slightly raised, sharing this long-lost good news. Where did I make tears that day? Take it out and let me have a look. Maybe I can work out how to cure the virtual ghost's infection's secret medicine. Yu Fire hurriedly urged, the golden eyes exuding brilliance again. The flowers are not here, so don't turn my pockets. Liu held the blonde woman's messy hands again and said sternly, moreover, that angel wing is not ours yet. Isn't the flower ours? Didn't you get it? Yu Fei looked at the white-haired girl blankly. I didn't get it. In short, there are many reasons. Liu's pretty face turned her head slightly warm, not looking at the blonde woman's eyes. Xiao Yogyu, you have changed. Yu Fei sat beside him and said naturally, If you were the one you used to find the angel wings, you would have snatched it back long ago. People are always numb. Liu leaned on the blonde woman. A sweet smile appeared at the corner of her mouth and she said softly, The days I lived before were so boring, I also want to try to change it now. Yu Fire suddenly asked, Xiao Yogyu, did you meet someone you like? You, what are you talking about? Liu's silver-white eyes flashed with panic. Her pretty face flushed and then she hurriedly denied. No, don't talk nonsense. The way you look now, just like little Lily said, there must be someone you like. Yu Fei's tone became subtle. She just tried it out according to what Elena said. As long as a girl suddenly changes significantly, either she has someone she likes or she wants to fall in love. Quotations. Yu Fei found out a really terrible situation. Liu actually has someone she likes. Huh. Elena just likes to say strange things. Liu concealed the blush on her face, turned her face away and said, Don't learn from her. I'm not a fool, Yu Fei pouted a little dissatisfied. Yes, you are not an idiot, Liu replied perfunctorily. Oh, don't break the subject, just talk about the angel wings, Yu Fei urged with a stern face. Huh. Am I talking about it? Liu raised her hand to cover her forehead, feeling a little numb on her scalp. This stinky blonde woman, who must have learned from Elena, has actually learned to slap her back. Come on, what the hell is going on with angel wings? Yu Fei squeezed the white-haired girl with his shoulders. I just said it, don't squeeze it. Liu tried to keep it from being squeezed. She remembered what had happened before and she was a little embarrassed, she whispered. I followed others into the Bloodbeard treasury when I saw the Bloodbeard's angel wings, it was almost withered. Ines. Just when I was about to despair, Liang asked angel wings to live and gave me a drop of angel tears to drink. Ryu skipped some scenes that were embarrassing to say and didn't say anything about little black tortoise. She probably focused on saying, I will stay at Liang's house afterwards. This time I came to see you, not only about angel wings, but Liang also wanted to talk to you about making enhanced secret medicines. Yu Fei turned his head to observe Ryu's expression secretly. She found that when the white-haired girl talked about the man named Liang, a sweet shy smile appeared on her face. You, what are you staring at me for, N? After Ryu finished her story, she didn't hear Yu Fei's response, and turned her head to see the blonde woman watching her tightly. She touched her cheek and asked sternly, Did you pay attention? Xiao Yoyu, your expression was so sweet just now. Yu Fei stood up and stretched. Yes, do you? Liu wrapped her pretty face in panic with her hands and found that it was slightly hot. Let's go and see what someone you like asks me for. Yu Fei walked to the entrance of the cave. Don't go out first. Liu Akil blushed and said in embarrassment, don't keep talking about the person I like. This is not good. Oh, I didn't expect Xiaoyu to be as dupe as little Lily. Yu Fei turned around, his expression distressed. You don't need to talk about it yet. Ryu couldn't help covering her forehead. She didn't expect that one day she would be worried by people who were naturally confused about her character problems. She calmed down, glanced at the objects around her and asked, Yufel, don't you bring your things with you? I got Angel's tears and come back to study. Why do you want to bring things? Yu Fire asked blankly. Aren't you going to go with me? Liu stepped forward and asked eagerly, are you still coming back to stay in the Moon Lake tribe? Follow you, why? Didn't you find angel wings? Yu Fire was a little confused. She then exhilarated and said, after I have researched out the secret medicine to cure the virtual ghost infection, I will go to you. Oh, I really lost to you. Liu suddenly felt that it was useless to talk to the blonde woman, and the thinking patterns of the two were not in the same line. She used the killer copper and said, Angel's tears can only condense a drop in 10 days. I can only give you one drop now, and then we will be separated. Ah, so little, how can this be? Yu Fire was anxious and embraced the white-haired girl with his arms wide open. With tears in her eyes, she became so cute and coquettish. I need at least 10 drops of angel tears to study. As long as you follow me, I'm afraid that there will be no angel tears for you to study. Liu now has the force of angel tears and has no hope of studying secret medicine. She just wants her companion to live with her. Moreover, Liu understands part of Mu Liang's ideas, and the companion who can make secret medicine is a talent. Wouldn't it be better to leave Yufel on the back of the little black tortoise and study the secret medicine slowly? I'll go with you. Yu Fei rubbed the white-haired girl's face. Liu disgustedly pushed Yu Fei away and urged, then quickly pack things up, we are going to meet Mu Liang. Let's leave today, is it daytime or night? Yu Fei asked as he packed his things. Midnight, Liu sighed. It's midnight, do you have enough food there? If not, I will go up and get some more. Yu Fire stopped putting things into the cloth bag and looked up at the side of the hole. Don't persecute people anymore. Liu hurriedly stopped. She had never seen someone like a blonde woman who caught a family and moved violently, and now she didn't let it go before she left. I see a lot of things left in their house. Yu Fei scratched his neck, trying to explain that he did not persecute people. Okay, you quickly pack up useful things. Liu put on an expression off you are right. Oh, Yu Fei put the wooden boxes into the cloth bags. She stopped halfway through her pretend, frowning her golden eyebrows thinking about meditation. What's wrong? Did you forget something? Liu helped to open the cloth bag. The things on my face won't scare the person you like. Yu Fei turned around pitifully, and later realized that she pointed to the scarlet lines on her annoying face. No, Mu Liang won't hate you, Liu said softly. Impossible, little Lily said, normal people hate monsters like us. Yu Fei lowered his head in loss and squatted down silently. She didn't want to go anymore. Liu finally found someone she liked. If she followed along, she would definitely be offensive. That Mu Liang may not be a normal person. Liu didn't know how to persuade, so she could only temporarily aggrieved Mu Liang's reputation. Little Lily also said that non-normal people will not like us anymore. Yufel's head dropped lower. Ryu grinds her teeth lightly, a bit trying to plug Alina's mouth. She squatted down, patted her chest and said, look at me, Mu Liang has accepted me and she will definitely accept you. Liu. It's different, you are the one he likes. Yu Fei shook his head. Huh. What do you like? Liu's pretty face turned blush and she inexplicably remembered what Mu Liang said under the star tea tree. I have thought of a way. Yu Fei suddenly raised her head, her golden eyes gleaming brightly. She found a piece of cloth and wrapped her face and neck all together, revealing only a pair of golden eyes and 2 vent holes in the nose. Ooh. You tied your mouth. Liu rolled her eyes and a few strands of hair fell down her forehead. She found a knife and carefully cut the piece of cloth from the blonde woman's mouth. Hoo-ha-hoo. Yu Fei breathed a few long breaths, then gave a thumbs up, showing off with a little complacency. How? I'm smart enough, I won't be scared by dressing like this. Yes, you are very smart. Liu silently swallowed some persuasive words. It's okay to take the blonde woman over first, and the rest of the prejudice, panic, misunderstanding, etc. will gradually change in life. Xiaoyu, you don't worry, I will never let them discover my identity. Yu Fei clenched his fist and said firmly, good. Ryu silently helped pull the cloth bag and stopped talking. She can't say that Mu Liang has long known what kind of existence her companions are. Ryu felt that it seemed pretty good for Yu Fire to continue to be confused. Half an hour passed. The two packed up all important things. Let's go, it will be bright if you don't leave. Ryu put on the mask, picked up a cloth bag, and walked out of the cave first. Here, Yu-Fei carried two big cloth bags. Ryu led the way, covering Yu-Fei towards the hotel. After walking for a while, she felt something was wrong and couldn't help but stop. Is there an enemy? Yu-Fei put down the cloth sack in his hand and bowed slightly. To be a member of Theffer-Person team, her strength is no weaker than the white-haired girl. Something is wrong, I didn't meet anyone with a patrol team on the road. This is very abnormal, Liu said in a low voice. In the past, no matter how late it was, there would always be people from patrols patrolling the city. Is it just time to change teams to patrol? Yu-Fei squinted his golden eyes and looked at the dark streets. It doesn't matter, let's go find Liang to meet. Liu felt a little uneasy. Her instinct feels that something will happen tonight. Listen to you. Yu-Fei put the cloth bag on his back inside the hotel. Liang opened the wooden window slightly to reveal a crack, staring at the dark streets and houses outside. Liang, what's wrong? Mino probed curiously. Since returning to the hotel just now, she has seen Liang always standing at the window and looking outside. Liang gently closed the window, returned to the table and sat down and said in a deep voice, "We are under surveillance." On the way back, he noticed something was wrong. I also asked the three-color lizards to patrol the surroundings, and as expected, someone was watching several of them. Surveillance? Who is watching us? Mino frowned. She erected her rabbit ears, trying to hear the sound from outside. I don't know who it is, Liang frowned. This is something he didn't want to understand. There are only a few people who have intersections. Bloodbeard was already dead, and the remaining people were Yuezhu, Yue and Lu Chuan. But the remaining three people had no reason to watch him unless something happened that he didn't know. It's too far, I can't hear any sound. Mino's rabbit ears drooped. You will definitely hear voices from far away. Liang rubbed the girl's head. The earless girl's talent has not been developed, and now it is 2 or 3 times better than ordinary people in hearing. What do you do now? Regardless of who is watching, Mino asked worriedly, she is not a girl who doesn't understand anything. Someone is watching, it means that someone is interested in them or there is something they want. Don't worry, when Liu comes back, I will go out to inquire. Liang didn't worry about leaving the earless girl alone in the hotel. He has vaguely suspected objects, and he is short of final verification. No matter who is monitoring them, Liang 033 must figure out, and by the way, stifle some dangers in the cradle. Good, Mino replied cleverly. You get something to eat first. Liang condensed a water polo and filled the container in the hotel with water. I'll grill some meat. Mino went to get the jerky from the package. It will be all right. Liang quietly looked at the busy figure of the bunny-eared girl, remembering the 100 junior high-grade beast spars that Yue Feiyan had obtained again. He took out the fierce beast spar and ordered. System, transform the evolution point. Ding, the transformation is successful and you get 10,700 evolution points. Also gave me 7 more fierce beast spars. The corner of Liang's mouth raised slightly, and he glanced at the mantissa that was transformed into an evolution point this time. He looked at the girl with rabbit ears and then thought of the white-haired girl who hadn't come back if the watchers outside really attacked them. For the sake of safety, it was decided to upgrade the tricolor lizard to level 5 domesticated beasts so that it can cope with sudden crises. Minuo, I'll go outside, you stay in the room and don't go out. Liang got up and said, Good, good. Mino hesitated for a while and then asked anxiously, how long will you be back? The barbecue will be ready soon. Don't worry, I'll be back in a while. Liang raised his hand and flicked the earless girl's forehead. That's good. Mino covered his forehead and breathed a sigh of relief. Don't open the window, Liang exclaimed when he closed the door. Understood. The earless girl is as obedient as ever, squeaked tilde. Liang closed the door, activated the mimic stealth ability, and walked outside the hotel. He summoned with his heart and mind, Ziokai, come to the back of the hotel and wait for me. At this time, the 3-color lizard has a body length of 4 meters. If it evolves to the level of a domesticated beast, it will definitely grow crazy again. Not finding a more remote place can really cause panic. Liang was behind the inn, in a secluded street where he met with a 3-color lizard. Without delay, he placed his hand on the tricolor lizard and ordered, evolve to level 5. Ding, evolve from level 4 to level 5, deduct 10,000 evolution points. Ding, level 5 tricolor lizard evolved successfully. Ding, do you inherit the talent of Thethri-color lizard, regeneration of severed limbs. Ding, broken limb regeneration is being improved, being adapted, and the inheritance is complete. Liang's whole body was wrapped in warm water, as if someone was forging his muscles, and there was a click-click sound from his bones. This time the whole body has been strengthened, buzzing. Mu Liang waved his fists and caused a strong wind. He clenched his fists and chuckled lightly. If the blood beard eats my elbow on the top page this time, it will probably die on the spot. Mu Liang opened the system and checked the properties. Trainer Mu Liang, stamina 62.6, speed 61.5, strength 63.7, spirit 90, lifespan 24 years 1450 years, taming points 60. Refreshed every day can be accumulated. Evolution point 26,448, ability regeneration of severed limbs, level 5. Basic control level 4. Earth rock control level 4 realm level 3. Water elemental condensation level 3 angels tears level 1. Domesticated beasts. Tricolor lizard talent regeneration of severed limbs, level 5. Red ghost spider talent basic control, level 4. Rock tortoise talent, earth and rock manipulation level 4. Crystal fish talent, water elemental condensation level 3. Domestication star tea tree talent, star realm level 3. Angel wing talent, angel tears level 1. Mu Liang skipped the lifespan column and was used to the increased lifespan. Each of the 4 dimensions of the human body has reached more than 60. No wonder the feeling of strengthening this time is so obvious. After watching the changes in the human body, Mu Liang then focused on the newly evolved abilities. Look at the name of the ability to regenerate limbs to know what it means. It is not enough to have the defense of hardened scales, and to add wound healing and regeneration capabilities, it is like a big tank. Mu Liang looked up at the tricolor lizard, which had doubled its size again, reaching an astonishing 8 meters BGFF, just like a tourist bus. 3 cone-shaped scales, each of which has the size of a fist, and the 3 colors flow around, just as dazzling as the lens. The 3-color lizard's whip-like tongue spit out, wanting to lick the owner coquettishly. Mu Liang hit his head, raised his hand, and patted his head vigorously, saying, "You don't want to think about what body shape you are now. Your tongue is small, and black tortoise can stand it." Hiss, the tricolor lizard tilted his head aggrievedly. "Okay, don't feel wronged, and close your body quickly so that no one will find it out." Mu Liang passed on the meaning in his heart. Next second, the huge size of the tricolor lizard enters the invisible state. Taste tilde tilde. As it moved, a footprint was left on the ground. "Hey tilde tilde, you just take a little more and get used to it quickly." Mu Liang lifted his forehead. He found that the intelligence of the tricolor lizard was still not high, which was equivalent to a 3- or 4-year-old child's ignorant understanding. Off. "Okay, I know, it will give you a little bit of evolution and won't make you hungry." After Mu Liang understood the meaning of the 3-color lizard, he couldn't help but laugh. It was time to beg for food. Didn't he think that Xiaokai was not too big and let it prey on its own? He also envied the evolution of Xiaokai. "You go and guard in front of the hotel." Mu Liang gave the Sankai lizard a new order. "Protect me, Minuo and Liu." After a few steps, the tricolor lizard became familiar with its strength and would not leave any visible footprints on the ground. Its huge figure walked by Mu Liang, and a gust of wind blew up, causing his hair to float. Xiaokai must be very deterrent if he is a mount. Mu Liang touched his chin and considered it. He also went invisible when he walked and walked back along the way he came. Back at the hotel, the evolution process took less than half an hour. Squeak tilde tilde. "I'm back." Mu Liang pushed open the door and saw Mino pale and trembling standing in the corner of the room. "You're finally back." Mino ran over quickly, grabbing his hand tightly. "What's the matter? Is anyone coming in?" Mu Liang's face sank, his black eyes scanned the surroundings sharply. "No, no one came in." Mino leaned on Mu Liang, his body calmed down from fear of trembling. Her blue eyes flickered for fear and she said hoarsely, "It's dangerous outside. I just felt something terrifying walking outside." "There is something terrifying outside." Mu Liang was stunned after hearing it. "The breath is very oppressive and it looked to our room." Mino twitched her ears, making the hairs on her arms stand up. "Is this Xiaokai?" Mu Liang's expression was full of unnaturalness. "So this is the own domesticated beast that scared the girl without rabbit ears." "Xiaokai?" Minuo was stunned. She then reacted, squinting her blue eyes and pursing her small mouth, and asked, "Is the lizard passing by just now?" "Cough cough, right, I let it come to the front to see the door." Mu Liang coughed slightly. "Really, I thought a beast came in." Mino's tight heart relaxed and he complained crisply, "I was so scared that I almost ran out to find you." "Tomorrow I will ask Xiaokai to apologize to you." Mu Liang raised his hands and said, "If it apologizes, I don't understand it again." Mina was amused and rolled a good-looking eye. I can translate for you, you can let it dance. In order to comfort the rabbit-eared girl, Liang unscrupulously handed over Xiaokai's first stage performance in her life. The big lizard can really dance, Mino's blue eyes flashed with curiosity. You can learn it if you don't. Liang saw the girl's fear calm down and lightly said, or you can teach it to dance. No, I don't know how to dance. Mino waved his hand shyly. Dance can be created by yourself, just write down the postures that look good. If you collude with all the postures, you can dance. Liang remembered some dances on the earth and explained to the girl with a chuckle. I will try it. Minor moved a little. She brought up the barbecue and urged, hurry up, it won't taste good when it's cold. Eating together, I don't know when Liu will be back. I left her a barbecue. The night is getting deeper and deeper. At this time, Liang was drinking tea and waiting for Liu's return. Mino was already asleep at the table, knocking. There was a knock on the door. Slightly, Police Liang glanced at the rabbit-eared girl who was still sleeping, got up and opened the door. He saw a white-haired girl and a woman with a cloth wrapped around her head. Liu, come in quickly. Liang smiled gently and walked away. When the white-haired girl brought people into the hotel, the three-color lizard had already notified him. After all, Xiaokai had just been criticized by his mind, who made it scare the rabbit-eared girl. It now condensed its breath, squeezed itself into an alley, lying on its stomach in silence. I'm back, Li Yueqing leaped for joy, carrying a big cloth bag into the room. How about you, come in too? Liang looked gently at the woman who was slow to enter the room. That Fire looked dumbfounded, looking at the man exuding warm temperament in front of him. The black eyes are unpredictable and attractive. They are clean, without disgust, alienation, and rejection. It hit Fire's heart in an instant and filled a blank image that hadn't been seen for many years. A good man. Her heart trembled, her cheeks flushed quickly, idiotic. I looked at a man who had never looked seriously before. My companion is more shy. Liu glanced at the sleeping girl with rabbit ears and stepped lightly. She went out again and pulled the strip of cloth tied to Fei's head, dragging people into the house. Hey. What's the situation? Liang was a little pity. How could he look like he was kidnapped? She is a little confused, and usually direct action is more effective than she said. While talking, Ryu took off the mask and used her long white hair. That's it, Liang replied, seemingly understanding. He got up to heat the barbecue and asked in a low voice, you haven't had dinner yet. Not yet, Liu answered naturally. Fei stood by with two big cloth bags on his back, with golden eyes secretly aiming at Liang, who was barbecued, inexplicably thinking that this man was really temperamental and beautiful. Your companions. Liang was a little unbearable by a fiery gaze and winked at the white-haired girl. She's called you Fei-er, she is 18 years old this year, and she is a little naturally confused in her personality. Ryu quickly explained the characteristics of a blonde woman. She stepped forward and said helplessly, Yufel, put things down. Oh, Fei-er lied lightly on the shoulder, turned his head slightly, avoiding the sight of the white-haired girl. You don't need to be too nervous. Liu looked at Fire, who was completely unnatural, and saw her companion look like this for the first time. It's like being sucked up by something, dumbfounded. He is the person I told you. Liang. Liu helped Fei put things down and introduced, by the way, the girl sleeping on her stomach is called Mino. Hello. Fire's face was blushing, and she was so shy that she made a very small voice. Liu's silver-white eyes are full of confusion. Is this the naturally confused Fei? When did you say hello to be so scared? She suddenly thought of a reason. Perhaps Liang was the first normal person Fire had contact with, so it was unnatural. Soon the white-haired girl found the answer for her abnormal companion. Don't stand, sit down, Liang said softly. Oh, Fire moved and sat stiffly on the chair. Her heart speeded up quietly, and the whole person fell into a state of dizziness and drunkenness. Elena's love quotations flashed through Fei's mind inexplicably. If a girl sees a man, her heart will beat faster and her eyes will be attracted unconsciously. This represents a possibility, that is, love at first sight. Quotations. So I fell in love with Liang at first sight. Fei's heart trembled, and she couldn't believe such a conjecture. Impossible, I am not the kind of superficial girl that little Lily said. Well, I just think it's the first time I see such a clean man, it feels very good. Yes, that's it. Many words flashed in Fei's heart and slowly calmed down the trembling heart. Have something to eat. With a small smile at the corner of his mouth, Liang handed over a plate of heated barbecue. Oh good, Fire took the barbecue in a daze. Her golden eyes met Liang's eyes and her heart speeded up again. When it was over, Yu Feier's state of mind that had just calmed down was once again messed up. What's wrong? Mu Liang looked at Yu Feier in a daze and turned his head to look at the white-haired girl in a daze. Don't worry about her, she may still be confused. Liu chewed on the barbecue and said coldly. In a while, give her some time to adapt and it will be better. Okay, Mu Liang heard this, so he didn't bother Yu Feier. He asked about the situation of the monitors outside. Liu, you just came back from outside, can you observe something wrong? Yes, all the patrol team members have disappeared. Liu picked up the hot tea on the tabletop and said solemnly, I still saw a lot of people from the hunting team near the hotel. They seem to be watching us. People from the hunting team? Are you sure? Mu Liang's black eyes narrowed. Yes, there are a few people I have met in the hunting team. Liu was very sure. It seems that some people are jealous of us. Mu Liang felt that the Bloodbeard should be resolved tonight, which aroused the vigilance of some people in the tribe. Then he thought of a possibility and murmured to himself. No, if that's the case, why are there no patrols at night? Mu Liang, do you think it was because the Moon Lord was injured? Liu frowned her snow-white eyebrows and guessed a possibility. They have mobilized people from the patrol team to protect the Moon Lord. Unreasonable, this approach is unreasonable. Mu Liang overturned this speculation. To protect one person, there is no need to remove all the hunting team members of the tribe and send someone to monitor them. Unless there is a possibility, that is, if they think they will make trouble, they will send people to watch. Why do you make trouble? Who do you make trouble for? Mu Liang didn't want to understand but vaguely felt that he was missing a key point. I think someone is going to be unfavorable to the Moon Lord, Yufire whispered. If she was a bad person in the tribe and heard that the Moon Lord was injured, she would definitely attack the Moon Lord and the bad guys. Isn't it just that the tribe always doesn't send water and has many people under it? Yes, Jufire's logic is so simple, straightforward, and crude. Yeah, why didn't I expect it? Mu Liang's inspiration flashed and he changed his mind, and everything could be colluded. The people who monitor them are preventing them from going to save the Moon Lord. But why? Mu Liang still felt that the key points were missing. If someone is unfavorable to the Moon Lord and can mobilize so many hunting teams, there will be no one except a few elders. But what are they actually drawing? If you want water, don't think about it for the time being. You have to wait for Moon Lord's injury to heal. But the injury is healed with the strength and reputation of the Moon Lord, he can easily rise again. Unless the Moon Lord is imprisoned as a water-producing pet. That's how to convince the hunting team members of the tribe, no matter how the Moon Master can't have no supporters. These supporters let the Moon Master be used as pets. I think it's impossible to think about it. If there is a bigger bait than the Moon Lord and a better future, maybe it will be possible. When Mu Liang thought of this, he stated sentence by sentence. Then the new water source is the key. The new source of water, will it be you? Li Yue was stunned and instantly thought of Mu Liang. It won't be me. Mu Liang shook his head. He is a water system awakener, and he has not spread it out. Moreover, even if it is spread out, the reaction will not be so fast, and it will not be done to him until tomorrow at the latest. It seems that the people of Elder's Line are not simple. Mu Liang thought of the old men he saw on the street. I have never heard of the Yuetan tribe finding a new source of water, otherwise they would not rush over tonight after the Moon Lord was injured. Ryu didn't even want to understand. There is too little information. We guessed that Elder's system was going to take the initiative to attack the moon. Mu Liang picked up the tea and sipped it. Liu hesitated for a moment and asked, then are we going to save the Moon Master? Not going for now. Mu Liang squinted his eyes and said leisurely, the Moon Lord must be fine now. We must first know what Elder family wants to do. He felt that to rescue the Moon Lord this time, he would have to have hundreds of elementary and superior fierce beast spars. Then there is hope for 6th-level domesticated beasts. Are you going to deal with the elders? Liu's silver-white eyes were filled with surprise. How can you start with the hardest part? Do you directly solve the people behind the scenes? It's a bit like a killer. We are not from the Yuetan tribe, so what do we care about? The corner of Mu Liang's mouth raised, and his tone was lightly provocative. We just went to the elders to borrow something. Liu blinked her silver-white eyes and said in disbelief, don't you want to steal things from the elders? Steal? No, no, no. Mu Liang shook his index finger and denied. We are going to collect payment and the Moon Master will be grateful to us. Of course, he still wants to know what the elder line of people are going to do. One aspect is curiosity. On the one hand, there is also the meaning of returning the moon to the Master. There is the last aspect, of course, for the Fierce Beast Spar. It is too difficult to accumulate the Fierce Beast Spar needed for the 6th-level domesticated beasts by relying solely on the Xinghui tea trade. Not to mention there are 7th-level domesticated beasts. According to Liang's plan, the rock tortoise evolves to the 6th-level domesticated beast level, and he will start to form his own forces for hunting fierce beasts, producing goods, and then trading with other forces. You can't always borrow things, it's not good. If the Moon Master knows, I'm afraid he will bite you. Liu thought of the graceful Moon Lord with a girl's lively personality. She might actually have the urge to bite. Ahem, she will lose her freedom soon, she won't bite. Police Liang glanced at Fire secretly and blinked his left eye at her amusedly. Fire's long eyelashes trembled, and her neck and ears were all dyed with red stars. The blonde woman did not expect that Liang would wink at her, or she would have a single eye and her hair trembled because of the teasing. Then when will you act? Liu didn't see the behavior of the two, otherwise she wouldn't ask so peacefully. I will act soon and I will return to Little Black Tortoise's house tomorrow. Liang didn't want to get involved too much by the Yuetan tribe. I'll go with you, Liu asked to go with her. Yes, it's just. Liang turned to look at Mino, who was pretending to sleep on his stomach, especially when he saw the girl's rabbit ears trembling slightly. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly, and he deliberately said casually, Mino is asleep. It seems that she can only be left in the room. No, I want to go too, Mino shouted, raising his head sharply. Afterwards, Minuo saw Liang and Li Yue looking at her with a smile and immediately knew that his pretending to be asleep had been exposed. HMPH, I want to go anyway. Mino pouted and turned his head in embarrassment. When she turned her head, she saw Fair, who had his head wrapped like a corpse, and she shrank her neck timidly and moved towards Liang's side. Hello, Fair just wanted to say hello. When she saw the earless girl's movements, she couldn't speak. Her golden eyes darkened, her pink lips were pursed, and her head bowed in loss. Liu saw it and explained in a low voice. She is just a little afraid of life, not afraid of you. Oh, is it the same as little Lily? Fair instantly regained his energy and said naturally, she used to be very afraid of strangers. After she got acquainted, she couldn't stop talking, it was so interesting. Probably it should be about the same. Liu squirmed her lips and could only perfuse it. Then I understand, Fair nodded. Liu is a little bit like to complain, how can you understand? I'll wait for you. Fair turned his head and grinned at the girl with rabbit ears. Yeah, Mino smiled with his mouth entangled in cloth. Suddenly he made a cute little scream. She was more attached to Liang and she looked at the blonde woman a little cowardly. Fair, do you want to remove the piece of cloth? Liu suggested in a low voice. No, Fire glanced at Liang, then shook her head, her little hand tightly covering the piece of cloth on her head. She did not dare to face Liang, nor could she let him see her ugly appearance. All right, Liu sighed. When Liang saw the tired look of the white-haired girl, he immediately felt very interesting. He smiled and touched the head of the girl with rabbit ears. The getting along with the problem girls is really so inexplicable and joyous. Just know some interesting things by yourself. I think we can prepare to set off, otherwise it will dawn. Liu looked at the happy Liang at the corner of her mouth and couldn't help feeling uncomfortable inexplicably. Cough, then prepare everything. We will go to see the Moon Lord after we get the things, and then we can go home. The tone of Liang's speech is like going to a friend's house. Good, Liang has nothing to clean up. The most are the 3 bags of experimental materials and equipment from Fair. How do we avoid outside surveillance? Liu pointed to the person outside the window. This is very simple and very exciting. Liang raised his eyebrows lightly with a nasty smile on the corners of his mouth. Excitement? Liu tilted her head in confusion. Walk out and find out when you get out of the hotel. Liang didn't explain much and took the lead and walked out. The 3 women followed with doubts. Go straight out, aren't you afraid of being seen by the watched? Liu entered the hotel just now but sneaked in. According to speculation, as long as they are not going out, the monitors should not behave to them. I was seen? No. Liang stood at the gate of the hotel with his 3 daughters openly. No one came over. Our guess was wrong, Liu was stunned. It's not that no one came here, it's that the site was blocked and deceived. Liang walked a few steps forward and then 033, raising his hand to touch the air in front of him. There was a wave of ups and downs, and a large area of palm-sized cone-shaped scales appeared. What is this? The 3 women widened their eyes and looked at the 3 colors in the front mirror in astonishment. How do I feel a little familiar? Mino shook his rabbit ears. It felt like the scales of a large lizard, but it wasn't that big. Is it a big lizard? Her blue eyes slowly widened, suddenly thinking of a possibility. Mino leaned over and asked in a low voice, Liang, the big lizard won't grow bigger again. It has evolved again, so the breath will scare you, Liang explained. Let me just say it, Mino suddenly realized. Hearing the conversation between the two, Liu hesitated to point to the large area scales in front of her and asked, "Is this Zyaka?" Everyone climb up. Mu Liang crawled on the back of the three-color lizard with his bare hands. The size of the three-color lizard is like a tourist bus, which can completely block the sight of the monitor. One side of the big lizard is invisible, covering the door of the hotel and mimicking the scene where there is no one at the door of the hotel to the monitors. No wonder I also feel familiar, it turned out to be Zaya Okai. Liu also recovered. She used to go to the plantation and was quite familiar with the three-color lizard farm, and occasionally she could come forward to observe the triangular pyramidal scales. "Come up soon," Muliang stretched out his hand and greeted him in a low voice. "Here." Liu carried the cloth bag and prepared to jump up. "Don't jump, you will be exposed, I will search for you." Muliang reached out to the white-haired girl. "Oh," Liu pursed her mouth shyly and stretched out her small hand and put it into Mu Liang's large palm. Before she could feel Mu Liang's rough and wide palms, she was dragged onto the back of the big lizard and was quickly covered by the spread of invisibility. "Stretch your hand here," Mu Liang beckoned to the blonde woman. "That, I'll do it myself." Yu Feier shook his head shyly. She was a little afraid to face Mu Liang, so she only handed him the cloth bag to pick it up and climbed onto the three-color lizard by herself. Then Yu Feier hid behind the white-haired girl. "How do I feel that you are a little afraid of Mu Liang?" Liu whispered. Zufel shook his head slightly. Mu Liang dragged the girl with rabbit ears up and whispered, "Sit down and stabilize, we are going to set off." "Good." With a hint of excitement on the expressions of the three women, they quickly grabbed the spur on the back of the big lizard. The tricolor lizard got the order to set off and march towards the center of the Moon Lake tribe. La. There was a gust of wind on the street in the dark. Why is there a strange wind suddenly? A watcher murmured. My instinct just reminded me that something horrible seemed to pass in front of us. Don't talk nonsense, hurry up and keep an eye on the hotel and don't let them run out. Yes. Although the tricolor lizard is huge, it is very good at balancing power. It crawled over some larger roofs without collapsing the house, only causing indoor dust to fall to the ground. It's exciting. Mino looked left and right excitedly. The first time he ran out in the middle of the night, he came out sitting on a large lizard. In particular, the three-color lizard climbed up and down the roof, and the feeling of diving up and down made the hearts of the three women tremble. It feels like riding a roller coaster. Mu Liang opened his hands and looked at the large houses not far away. These big houses are where the elders live. The three-color lizard stayed in the central area, on a fire-free roof at the junction of the inner wall. Mu Liang, look over there. Liu stood up and pointed to a house in the central area. Mu Liang turned his head and looked at the house. That house was the home of the Moon Lord. At this time, the Moon's house was full of flames, and many torches were surrounding the house. It seems that most of the hunting team members are here. Mu Liang could vaguely see some figures. Are they persecuting the Moon Lord? Li Yueqing asked coldly. Maybe you want to force the Moon Lord to make any decision. Mu Liang thought of some historical dynasties on the earth and criticized and said, after all, the Moon Lord is the core of the Moon Lake tribe. If the Moon Lord is willing to cooperate, it will definitely get twice the result with half the effort. Then let's get things now. Liu turned her head and looked at the other quiet big houses. She was faintly excited. She used to be a thief alone, but now she went in and moved things in an open manner. Go, and when they come back, move some things away. Mu Liang is now not afraid of moving things. The three-color lizard is once again used as a carrying tool and is still upgraded to the big truck level. Mu Liang took the three daughters and sneaked into a big house, cautiously knocking out a few guardians. You pick good things to take, don't take chairs or the like. Mu Liang rolled his eyes when he saw the girl with rabbit ears moving a chair in excitement. Oh, Mino put down his chair in a jealous manner. She was a little nervous when she stole something for the first time, but also felt very novel and exciting. Liu, go and wake someone to lead the way. We want the beast spar, cloth pieces, plant seeds, etc. Mu Liang turned his head and ordered the white-haired girl. Leave it to me. Liu dragged Yufure away. After a little while, the important thing of this elder was tied with spider silk on the back of the tricolor lizard by Mu Liang. After the three-color lizard lifted its invisibility, the three women were completely stunned. I didn't expect the big lizard to become so big, Mino said in astonishment. Ziokai should be no worse than some intermediate fierce beasts. Li Yue valued her strength more. She has never seen three-color lizards torn and killed, so she can only make a comparison from the breath. No smell of blood. Yu Fire sniffed his nose and shook his head slightly. Mu Liang understands the meaning of a woman with 5.5 gold hair. The tricolor lizard lacks bloody experience and has no experience in killing, that is, the size and breath are comparable to the intermediate fierce beasts. As for whether they can beat the fierce beasts of the same level, this is still unknown. It seems that there is a chance to take them to hunt. Liang doesn't want to raise a few domesticated animals into ornamental pets. As for the small black tortoise, I don't need it, let it evolve. No one can do anything to it depending on its body shape. This house has the largest house, so it should be Elder's house. Liu pointed to the house in front of her. Go evacuate. Liang took the lead to get down from the three-color lizard, and the spider silk flew, sealing the guard's mouth, hands, and feet on the wall. His trick is to learn something about the little spider, and it's quite practical. Empty, Mino held up his small hand in excitement. Bang, bang, bang. Grandma, you let me out quickly. Lu Chuan slapped the door. He wants to rush to Yueju's house immediately, and he will never allow Yue Feiyan to marry Yue Feiyan with people from the Thousand Tree tribe. Grandma Lu persuaded her motherly, my baby, just stay at home and don't hinder your grandfather. I won't hinder Grandpa, but Yue Weiyan can't marry someone else, she can only be mine. Lu Chuan roared unwillingly. You'd better choose another girl, Yue Feiyan, that little girl is too saucy, not suitable for you. Grandma Lu said in the tone of the person who came over, I think the daughter of Z Elder's family is pretty good, she is big and good for health. No, I want Yue Feiyan, Lu Chuan stubbornly shouted. But people don't like you. Grandma Lu stared, reprimanding her hate that iron can't become steel. She doesn't look down on you at all, why do you even want to join her? Lu Chuan shouted arrogantly. Sooner or later she will be mine, only I can be worthy of her. Oh tilde tilde, it's too late, your grandfather has already talked to the people of Thousand Trees tribe. Grandma Lu sighed, shook her head and said, by then, our Yuetan tribe will be merged into the 16,000 Tree tribe, and both Yue Feiyan and Moonlord will marry the leader of Kaianshu. How can this be? It won't be like this. Lu Chuan slammed the door wildly in disbelief. Boom. I don't believe it, didn't Grandpa say yes? He asked me to marry Yue Feiyan. My baby, don't make trouble. This time the two tribes merge, maybe you can build a city. Why lie to me, I want Yue Feiyan. Lu Chuan's unwilling roar resounded throughout the room. At this moment, the four Liang who had sneaked in hid in the background, listening to the entire conversation. It turns out that the missing key point is that the people of the Big Elder line actually want to merge the Yuetan tribe into other tribes. Liang suddenly realized that many things he didn't understand were all cleared up. It's no wonder that the hunting team members will not resist. After all, if they are incorporated into other big tribes, they no longer need to rely on a moon master who produces water, and there is no worries about the future. Therefore, the Moon Lord is not important now. She and Yue Feiyan have become an addition to the transaction. It is really possible to be regarded as a water-producing pet. What should I do now? Liu asked coldly. Next move things, this big elder must have good things. Liang lowered his voice and ordered. He thought that the blood beard of a rogue leader had a breeding room. As the big elder of the Moon Lake tribe, he couldn't be too bad. Okay, I'll get the old woman and let her take us to find something good. Liu got up and walked towards Granny Lu. After some friendly negotiation, Grandma Lu took the four people to the backyard and entered a large shed. The brazier in the greenhouse was lit. Unexpectedly, Big Elder also made such a large incubation room. Liang marveled at the interior of the spacious greenhouse, which was the size of 2 football fields. The whole shed is built with wood and the surrounding curtains are made of animal skins. Who are you? My old man is the elder of the Moon Lake tribe, he will be back soon. When Grandma Lu was about to threaten people halfway through her voice, her mouth was sealed. Call out, Liang spouted spider silk and fixed the old lady to a chair. How much water did it take to grow so many green plants in this place? Liu stared blankly at the green vegetable and fruit trees planted in the greenhouse. The ground was all wet. It is estimated that a lot of water will be used. Liang shook his head lightly. He didn't expect that Elder could actually make a large shed almost full of green vegetables and fruit trees at home. It's no wonder that some people's water will be deprived. It turns out that a lot of water is in the greenhouse. Wow, there are more things grown here than in our house. Maino's blue eyes widened, and he touched the unknown tree in surprise. This plant is medicinal herbs, and so is this one. Yu Feier ran to the middle of the greenhouse long ago, squatting on the ground to distinguish medicinal herbs. Liang, which part are we going to dig away? Liu asked for instructions. Why dig apart? Liang raised his eyebrows, opened his hands, and said, of course it is all going to be poached. He has a tricolor lizard like a big truck, and 2 more trips will be able to transport everything away. Mu Liang, are you joking? Liu's silver-white eyes widened in disbelief. I'm serious, we have the ability to ship it back. Mu Liang asked gently, don't you want to see the green vegetation when you go out at home? He had these plants as seedlings, and then evolved the Xinghui tea tree. Xinghui realm has expanded its growth range several times, and it can completely recover a lot of prosperity. Of course I did. There was a glimmer of hope in Liu's eyes. Anyone who doesn't want to go out can see the green plants, it's just that such a scene can only be possible in a dream. Ryu's sanity was sober and he said worriedly, but Elder and the others will come back very soon. So we have to move fast. Mu Liang squatted down, pressing his hands on the ground. Launch Earth rock controls. The ground in the greenhouse fluctuated like water, and plants were squeezed out by the soil like squeezing peas. The three women tried to maintain their body and watched the amazing scene in front of them dumbfounded. This is too exaggerated. Mino opened his small mouth and pulled his ears with both hands. He is really amazing. Yu Feier squatted on the ground with golden eyes shining brightly, his body heaving with the mud. Mu Liang is definitely a sixth order awakened person, and it is the kind that is infinitely close to the seventh order. Liu secretly guessed in surprise. The seventh order awakened people are only strong people that some big cities have. Old Lady Lu shook her head, her eyes widened in shock, and she stared at the scene in horror. Don't be silly and quickly move things to Zai-Okai. Mu Liang's face was much paler, and he raised his hand and wiped the sweat from his forehead. Controlling such a large area of land is still so delicate that it does not harm the roots of plants, and he has consumed a lot of energy. Crack. At this time, the curtain of the greenhouse was suddenly torn from the outside, and the large lizard that had been called in advance appeared. It crawls into the house, saves manpower, and then moves in and out. Now it is not afraid of being exposed. After all, it is enough to move to Elder's house. You take a break and leave the rest to us. Liu took the light and reacting, carrying a fruit tree and ran to the big lizard. Yu Feier carried the cloth bag in silence and selected some fine medicinal herbs to avoid being crushed. Mu Liang, are you okay? Mino ran over with 233 plants. It's okay, just take it a little longer. Mu Liang waved his hand with a chuckle. He is mainly mentally exhausted, but his physical strength is not much. Really all right? Minuo looked at Mu Liang's pale face with concern. Really, I will recover soon. Mu Liang nodded seriously. His complexion has slowly returned to his normal complexion. That's good. Mino looked at it carefully and was relieved. She carried the plant in her hand and ran to the big lizard. Mino, wait for what you have in your hand to show me. Mu Liang glanced at the plant in the girl's hand and suddenly felt a bit familiar. Yes, Mino came back and handed it over. No, after Mu Liang took over, he looked at the familiar plants, vines, and fruits in his hands. For a moment, he started to stay in a daze, looking a little disbelief. I'm going to move things. Mino didn't disturb Mu Liang, who was in a daze, and turned around and ran to help move things. I didn't expect to see the red color here. Mu Liang slowly grinned, staring at the sweet potatoes connected by the vines. He found that this trip was worth it. With the availability of plant food, the food crisis can be solved slowly. After all, it is simply unrealistic for everyone to eat meat until they are full. It's possible in the short term, don't think about it in the long term. One of the foundations for the formation of forces has been found the same again. Mu Liang excitedly held the sweet potato. The tricolor lizard lay down obediently and stretched its tail over as a lift so that the three girls stepped on it and then carried them up. Zai-Okai, you are so good, what scared me before is over. Mino shook his rabbit ears, smiled, and patted the scales of the lizard with his hand. The three-color lizard's tail stiffened, and then it was transported more securely. Mu Liang, spit out some cobwebs and tie up the plants or they will fall off. Liu rushed over. She looked at Mu Liang, who was smiling and could not help but asked curiously, although there are so many plants that should be happy, you have been happy for too long, right? You don't understand, there are so many things here that are no better than the red color in my hand. Mu Liang shook his head with a chuckle, holding the sweet potato preciously towards the tricolor lizard. Sweet potato, is it really that good? Liu pursed her lips suspiciously. Leave it to me next. Mu Liang stood beside the big lizard and gave the sweet potato in his hand to the girl with rabbit ears. Oh, the three girls obediently let go. Launch talent basic control. Mu Liang raised his arm, his palms and fingers spewed out a large amount of spider silk, a total of 100 transparent spider silks. Chinese letter. Basie's talent for manipulation was used to its limit. Plants were tied up and placed on the back of a large lizard with a flick, and then fixed with spider silk. The plants are flung around, the scene is very exaggerated. The three women suddenly opened their mouths and stared blankly at Mu Liang's manipulating spider silk objects. Mu Liang is too good. He has done more than a dozen people's work alone. Mino admired as always. Liu heard the rabbit-eared girl's words silently uttered. I found that we are all superfluous. Yu Fei covered his face with his hands and looked at it idiotically. Old Lady Lu struggled and twisted her body, and if she moved on like this, the whole life of her old man was evacuated. She will have no place to take a walk in the future and no fresh green vegetables to eat. In less than half an hour, all the green vegetable saplings in the greenhouse were evacuated. It was expected to be transported twice, but Mu Liang used spider silk to superimpose it all. The three-color lizard's body is wrapped in spider silk and fixed, its head is swaying from side to side, and its limbs are strongly propped up. The whole looks a bit like a dumpling. Hee hee, the big lizard looks so funny. Mino was amused instantly. The corners of Ryu and Yufir's mouths couldn't help but set up an arc. The tricolor lizard turned his head aggrievedly and stared at his owner. Cough. Mu Liang let out a quiet cough and said to the three girls, You three will go home with Zaya Okai this time. Are you alone here? Liu frowned her snow-white Liu eyebrows. It's convenient for me to move by myself. Mu Liang nodded lightly. He also went to see the Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan. If they could be rescued, he would be able to get a little more fierce beast spar. After looting so many homes of Elder, his evolution point reached an astonishing 138,620 points. A 6th-level domesticated beast is basically stable. No, you are too dangerous by yourself. Li Yueking said coldly, At least let me follow you. There are hundreds of people in the hunting team, so she can't worry about Mu Liang going alone. I want to follow too. Yufire stepped forward and hid behind the white-haired girl. She knew that a girl with rabbit ears was timid, and it was better to follow a girl with white hair. So, I'll go back alone, Mino hugged Red with a blank expression. Mu Liang looked at the serious and stubborn white-haired girl and then at the blonde woman who bowed her head silently. He nodded helplessly and said to the rabbit-eared girl, Minuo, you go home first, we will rush back at dawn. Okay, Mino nodded obediently. She knew that Own was relatively weak and it would be a hindrance to follow, so she might as well go back and help the lizard unload. I will send you up. Mu Liang spit out the spider silk with both hands and sent the girl with rabbit ears to the place reserved on the back of the big lizard. Shoo, I'll fix it for you. Go back to Ziohung and I will remove the spider silk for you. Mu Liang whispered softly, and by the way, he summoned the red ghost spider to respond with his mind and thoughts. No, you guys be careful. Mino was wrapped in spider silk with only one head exposed, and he shouted in a crisp voice, I'll wait for you to come back at home. Go, Mu Liang waved his hand. The three-color lizard stuck out its tongue and entered a state of invisibility. With the earless girl, she took a heavy step and left. Old Lady Lu looked at the empty shed with tears in her eyes. She could already think of the scene of the old man at home vomiting blood after seeing it. You are going to move out and merge into other tribes. Don't bring these things with you so much. Maybe they will all die halfway. After Mu Liang sent the big lizard, he saw the pretended old lady Lu softly comforted. The corners of Liu's mouth twitched slightly. Are you comforting? You are obviously talking coldly. Let's go. Mu Liang waved his hand with a smile and left the elder's house with the two girls. When the three of them passed by the house where Lu Chuan was detained, they could still hear a hoarse and incompetent roar from inside. How do you plan to save the two Moon Masters? Liu asked coldly. Let's go and see the situation first. Mu Liang pondered for a moment and said, I don't know how many people are truly loyal to the Moon Lord. Do you want to forcefully save people? Liu's beautiful Liu eyebrows suddenly wrinkled. With my current strength, it's okay to forcibly save people. Mu Liang's words were full of complacency. Later, his expression was a little bit distressed. Then what are you worried about? Liu squinted for a moment. She reacted sensitively and then said, Are you worried about what happened after Yuezhu and Yue Feiyan were rescued? Almost, Mu Liang spread his hands. They should stay and rebuild the Yuetan tribe. After all, their homes are here. Liu guessed a little. Not everyone is willing to merge the Moon Lake tribe into other tribes. If the Moon Lord is rescued, she can easily maintain a small Moon Lake tribe. It's also very dangerous for them to stay. It's better to go away, Mu Liang said lightly. He felt that the elders would not easily let go of the Moon Lord, not to mention that the Thousand Trees tribe seemed to be eyeing the Moon Lord and his daughter. Do you want to invite them to join us? Liu opened her silver-white eyes wide and reacted in hindsight. Haha, Mu Liang nodded. No matter where it is, talents are scarce, let alone two awakened. Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan are definitely individual talents. A water system awakener can be strong enough to perceive the water usage in the entire tribe. A fire-type awakened person can deal with the blood knife and the night jackal with the third-order strength alone, which shows that the talent is strong. If Liang wants to form a power, he needs some good elites in the early stage. After all, the space on the back of the rock tortoise is limited. This time, he will give priority to the evolution of the rock turtle to the 6th-level domesticated beast, and the back space of the tortoise will be expanded to at least 100,000 square meters according to the previous law. With such a wide space, it is almost enough to live with about 100 people. No matter how much it is completely unnecessary. To put it simply, Liang is just looking at the talents of the two and wants to draw the two to join the future Black Tortoise City and form future city-level cadres. The team must be formed as early as possible, otherwise how to earn the fierce beast spar needed for the evolution of the domesticated beast. Will they agree? A strange look appeared on Liu's pretty face. Before the Moon Lord invited Liang to stay, the Moon Lord of the Moon Lake tribe. Later, Liang invited the Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan to leave the Moon Lake tribe. Don't force it. Liang had a peaceful mind. If he is unwilling to join, he will find some new talents or cultivate a few by himself. Just collecting the beast spar will be much slower. According to his plan, it will be slower for more than half a year. At this time, in the courtyard of the Moon Lord's house. Two groups of very different numbers are facing each other. A group of more than a dozen people. A group of 200 to 300 people. Wei Zheng, get out of the way quickly, don't forget who brought you to the position of captain. Elder had a dark face, glaring at the man in front of him. He didn't expect that at the juncture of success, Wei Zheng, one of the highly hopeful captains, would actually lead his team to stop them. Big Elder, you are a rebellion, and I am only loyal to the Moon Lord. Wei Zheng stood in the middle of the courtyard gate holding a big shield and a long knife, facing the Big Elders without fear. I just help you find a new life, so you don't have to worry about running out of water in the future. Big Elder shouted uninspiringly. Don't you want to drink enough water? Think 200 or 300 hunting team members shouted. If we think about it, we will merge into the 1,000-tree tribe so that we can build a city. Big Elder shouted with seductive words. At that time, we can all live in the city and we don't have to worry about the water anymore. We have the Moon Lord, so we don't have to worry about the water. Wei Zheng interrupted loudly. He pointed to the people present and sternly asked, now, the Moon Lord has only suffered a little injury. Are you going to abandon her? What about your conscience? We didn't want to abandon the Moon Lord, Elder retorted sternly. He stepped forward and said in a painstaking tone, we just see that the Moon Lord is already tired. As long as the Moon Lake tribe is merged into the 1,000-hand tree tribe, the Moon Lord does not need to condense water anymore and can live freely. How did I hear that you plan to treat the Moon Lord as a commodity and trade it to the 1,000-tree tribe? Wei Zheng asked, tearing his face. Yes, if only the Yuetan tribe was merged into the 1,000-tree tribe, he would not object. After all, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, and at most it will be unaccustomed for a while. But it would be absolutely shameless to exchange the Moon Lord for such an opportunity. Who did you hear? This is absolutely nonsense. Elder's face changed slightly and then calmly shouted. The leader of the 1,000-trees tribe has just taken the throne, and there is no orthodox wife yet. He has always admired the Moon Lord. It sounds good, Wei Zheng sneered. He didn't believe what Elder said at all. 33 The man knows men best. He knows that the leader of Qianshu is looking at the Moon Master. And the talented awakening ability of Miss, as long as you marry 2 people, the offspring born will most likely be awakened with the same ability. You really don't let go. Elder had already lost patience a bit. He originally didn't want to make the Yuetan tribe merge into the 1,000-trees tribe too soon. Who would think that the Moon Lord was actually injured, and it would take a while to condense the water? Yue Feiyan yelled at him again, and the older Elder came back, the more angry he became. He couldn't bear it at all, and he started contacting everyone on the hunting team. With the help of Ni Wying, Elder didn't have to spend much effort to persuade 90% of the hunting team members to agree to merge the Yuetan tribe into the 1,000-tree tribe. However, the remaining 2% of those who disagree, that is, those who abstained, are now standing on the opposite side of them. They are all young faces. We used to benefit from the water selflessly dedicated by the Moon Lord, now it's our turn to give back. Wei Zheng held up the long knife in his hand, grinning, and shouted, I won't let you die. One person roars the momentum of 100 people. I won't let you die. More than a dozen people held up their long swords and roared, then don't blame us. Change requires the blood of sinners to pave the way. Elder made an excuse for the hunting team behind him. When he raised his hand to wave it down, let the hunting team attack. What on earth do you want to do? Yue Feiyan burst into flames and walked out of the room. It's big, miss. The commotion was quiet and Mrs. Name was quite useful. Why did you come out? With us, absolutely no one would dare to persecute you and the Moon Lord. Wei Zheng stepped sideways to give way and said aggressively. Thank you, Uncle Wei, Yue Feiyan said gratefully. If she doesn't come out, the situation will be out of control. Was awakened not long after going to bed at midnight. Big Elder led people to surround the house and wanted to bring his mother to come forward, announcing that the Yuetan tribe had been merged into the Thousand Trees tribe. Otherwise, the two of them will be imprisoned and given as gifts to the people of Kainshu tribe. Yue Feiyan wanted to fight to the death. Unexpectedly, Wei Zheng, the son of the former captain, led someone in the middle of the yard, so she had time to think about how to deal with it. BGFF. What do you want to do? Yue Feiyan stood in front, her pretty face full of majestic questioning. Is my mother sorry for everyone? No one dares to take care of this issue. The people on the hunting team know best what the Moon Lord does. However, the human heart is always greedy. Now everyone has less than half a bucket of water, and it needs to be used by the whole family. If it is incorporated into the Thousand Trees tribe, everyone can get at least a bucket of water, which has doubled the amount of water. Especially when there are a few people in the family, the hunting team members have to succumb to reality. Not talking. Yue Feiyan sneered at the corner of her mouth and asked, every time my mother gathers water until she gets tired, how do you return it? Yue Feiyan, you have misunderstood. We came here without malice. We just want everyone to live a good life. Big Elder came forward to answer and let Yue Feiyan continue to question, and the hearts of the people were half gone. Misunderstanding. Live a good life. Yue Feiyan's red eyes flashed with anger and she shouted, you guys gathered to catch my mother. Did you tell me it was a misunderstanding? She shouted fiercely. If you want to live a good life, then just leave the Moon Lake tribe and join the Thousand Tree tribe. Or, my mother won't let you join the Thousand Tree tribe. Or, do you need to use my mother as a bargaining chip? Yue Feiyan's red eyes looked at everyone sarcastically. Silence, many people on the hunting team bowed their heads in shame. They also dared to take advantage of the Moon Lord's injury to force the palace, otherwise no one would dare to offend the Moon Lord. Smelly, articulate girl. Big Elder gritted his teeth and stared. He didn't expect that Yue Feiyan, who is usually pretty well-behaved, could speak so well tonight. Some words suppressed most of his accumulated advantages. Ahem, tilde tilde. A weak cough broke the silence. An elegant figure appeared at the door of the room. Mother, why did you come out? Yue Feiyan quickly stepped forward and wiped the Moon Lord's arm. It's okay, I heard a lot of noise outside, so I came out to have a look. The Moon Lord's face was pale and shook his head, and the tiredness in his aqua-blue eyes could not be covered. Moon Lord. Many people shouted subconsciously. Moon Lord, you should go to recuperate. Wei Zheng respectfully persuaded. It's okay, thank you for still trusting me. Moon Lord looked at the dozen or so people in front of him and felt a little sad in his heart. She took over the position of the Moon Lord from her mother and worked desperately to condense the water source to maintain the longevity of the Moon Lake tribe. In the end, only a dozen people were maintaining her, which really made people feel sad and distressed. Sorry, Wei Zheng gritted his teeth and lowered his head, not daring to look at the sadness in the eyes of the Moon Master. It's not your fault. Moon Lord raised his head after speaking and looked at the hundreds of people in front of him. Her aqua-blue eyes scanned the crowd, and when she saw a person, she lowered her head and did not dare to look at her. I am injured, and you will inevitably be uneasy. The Moon Lord's tone is indifferent, and there is no peace of the past. But I will heal the wound soon, you all go back, and today's things have not happened. Are we going back? If you don't go back, there will be no water to drink when you go back. There was a commotion in the crowd, a few people wanted to leave, and when they saw that they didn't move, they didn't leave. Moon Lord, it's not your job to heal your injury, but a better way before everyone. The corner of the Big Elder's mouth was hooked, and the winning ticket was in hand and said, as long as our Yuetan tribe is merged into the Thousand Tree tribe, the water problem can be solved, and you don't have to work hard to condense the water. Thousand Tree tribe. The tribe where the target wants to plant 1,000 trees. The Moon Lord's face was a little dignified, knowing that this tribe has a natural source of water. Yes, they have almost completed this goal and are now ready to build a city. Big Elder is also a coincidence, catching up with the modern leader of the Thousand Tree tribe. Just promise to merge the Moon Lake tribe into the Thousand Tree tribe and send the Moon Lord and Moon Feiyan to the door. Then, one of the members of the Council of Thousand Trees city in the future will belong to him. What benefit did the Thousand Trees tribe promise you? Let the big elder run like this. Moon Lord's indifferent blue eyes looked at the old man who made her hate and helpless in the past. No, there is no benefit, I just think for everyone's sake. A panic flashed across Big Elder's eyes and he hurriedly said, Moon Lord, you're tired of gathering water sources every day, so why not take this opportunity to free yourself? So you know I'm tired too. The Moon Lord's blue eyes flashed with anger, and he said coldly, why can't I tell since you know I'm tired, why do you waste water at home so much? The people of the Elder Line control all the meat sources of the tribe, which is why the Moon Lord can't help them. Otherwise, she would have wiped out these old stubborn water wasting. I'm here to study plants that can grow outside. Elder said the answer he had thought of a few years earlier. You have worked so hard these past few years. The Moon Lord sneered. Regardless of what Elder said is true or false, she has lost all patience to him. Especially today, so many people stand on opposite sides of her, making her feel frightened and helpless. Yes, the Moon Lord is helpless. If her injury is cured immediately, she may be able to directly suppress it today. It's a pity that these people aimed at this point and dared to come and persecute her mother and daughter. It's not hard at all. Big Elder twitched his mouth with a smile. He opened his hands with a smile and said, the future of the Moon Lake Department is determined by the Moon Lord. IUA advocated opening his mouth, but found sadly that he had no options to choose from. The result of never deciding will be the same, or you will lead people to join the Thousand Tree tribe obediently, so that your face will look better. Or be detained by these people in front of you and sent to the Thousand Tree tribe as goods. You don't have much time. Elder stretched out the folds on his face and said coldly, Thousand Tree tribe people will come after dawn. You don't want to be escorted away, do you? It seems that you planned it a long time ago. The Moon Lord bit her silver teeth bitterly. Big Elder said everything with a cold face. There are no crystal fish, and the future existence value of the Moon Lake tribe is gone. The disappearance of the crystal fish is what made Elder make such a decision so quickly. My mother has another choice, and that is to fight everyone to die together. Moon Lord's charming face was full of determination, and water beads began to condense around his body. Want her mother and daughter to be goods. Want her to bow down, don't even think about it, how can she fight for Yue Feiyan to survive? You lunatic. Elder's complexion changed wildly, his figure retreated violently, and he immediately hid in the crowd. Rewind. The hunting team retreated quickly. Next, most of the yard is empty. Cough, cough. The Moon Lord coughed slightly, the wound was pulled and his face became paler. Even so, no one in the hunting team dared to come forward. On the one hand it is shame, on the other hand it is really afraid. Encircle here, wait until dawn, the people from the Thousand Trees tribe will come. Big Elder waved his sleeves angrily and left. He stayed faceless and was frightened by the bluff of the Moon Lord. Yes. The hunting team exited the yard. Yue Feiyan asked concerned, Mother, are you okay? It's okay, you go and clean up quickly, the Moon Lord urged. Huh. Why? Yue Feiyan was stunned, then reacted and asked, Mother, how about you? The Moon Lord smiled bitterly. I need to help you clear a path before you can go out to find Mu Liang and the others. She wants to desperately now, she can't even kill a few people. Moon Lord, let us escort you and Miss to go out. Wei Jiang stepped forward. Yes, leave it to us. A dozen people said in unison, you still have family members. Moon Lord shook his head and refused, and can't let those who trust her die in vain. She looked up at the bright sky on the horizon and sighed. It would be great if you can contact Mu Liang. With his ability, he can definitely take you away. Now the only person who can save them is Mu Liang. However, the Moon Lord did not think that Mu Liang would come to rescue them for no reason. Mother won't go, and I won't go either. Yue Feiyan bit her lower lip and shook her head. Be obedient, if we stay here, the future will definitely not be good. The Moon Lord said severely. No, I won't. Yue Feiyan shook her head stubbornly with tears in her eyes. Oh, it seems that I am here at the right time. A soft pick and with a ridiculous voice came down from the roof. Who is on it? A dozen of Wei Jiang quickly raised their heads and guarded the Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan behind them. They saw a man in a white long suit sitting on the house, with his chin folded on his chin, looking at them with a faint smile. Beside the man, there was a woman with a mask standing, and then there was a woman with his head wrapped in cloth. Such a dress, such a leisurely look, and suddenly appeared on the roof, giving people a mysterious feeling. Mu Liang, didn't you return to the hotel? Yue Feiyan shouted in astonishment. They just chanted Mu Liang, and now people suddenly appeared in front of them. This feeling was very strange. I saw it was very lively, so I was curious to come over and take a look. Mu Liang spread his hands and looked like, I'm just here to watch the show. Are they someone the Moon Lord knew? Wei Zheng frowned asked. The man in front of him gave him a strong sense of crisis, even more dangerous than facing a middle-level beast. Well, it's a friend. Moon Lord's blue eyes flashed with joy. If Mu Liang is there, the mother and daughter will be able to escape from the Yuetan tribe. You are in a bad situation now. Mu Liang got up and jumped down from the roof. The Hanfu was floating, falling elegantly beside the Moon Lord and Yue Feiyan. Lord Mu Liang laughed. Moon Lord's charming face was a little embarrassed. Not long ago, she wanted Mu Liang to take over as the Moon Master of the Yuetan tribe. Now that this happened, she was completely drawing her Yuekinlan's face. Do you need me to help you deal with them? Just give me a beast spar. Police Mu Liang glanced at the gate of the yard, a little eager to do it. Since he was strengthened, he didn't use his hands seriously. No, it can be done for a while, but it can't be done for a lifetime. The Moon Lord shook his head bitterly. The hearts of the Yuetan tribe have dispersed, and everyone is yearning to be annexed by the Thousand Trees tribe so that they can enjoy more water sources. From the confrontation tonight, it can be seen that the Moon Lord has completely given up on the Yuetan tribe and was heartbroken by these people. Then what are you going to do? Mu Liang raised his eyebrows in surprise. The black woman in front of him was not stupid. He knew the nature of the incident. From the moment Yue Feiyan left the room and questioned everyone, he sat invisible on the roof to watch the whole process. Even if the Moon Lord had survived this difficult time, the Moon Lake tribe would never be able to return to the past. A trace of confusion flashed across the blue eyes of the Moon Lord of Wei. She said bitterly, I haven't thought about the future. Let's leave the Moon Lake tribe first. Yes, what will they do in the future? Where can they go after leaving the Moon Lake tribe? Would you like to go to Black Tortoise City? Mu Liang invited calmly. To Black Tortoise City, the Moon Master's charming face showed a trace of astonishment. We Black Tortoise City needs talents like you, Mu Liang told the truth. I want to ask, is Black Tortoise far from here? The Moon Lord asked with a serious expression. Not far, very close. Mu Liang's mouth raised slightly, revealing an inexplicable smile. Not far. But I haven't heard of Black Tortoise nearby. The Moon Lord wrinkled his beautiful eyebrows in doubt. She turned her mind around and asked curiously, is your Black Tortoise City just recently established? Almost right. The smile on Mu Liang's mouth froze, and he turned his head in a serene manner. He can't say that Black Tortoise City has not been established yet. He just wants to bring you a few to join, and then build Black Tortoise City. If you say this, maybe the Moon Lord will look at him with a lunatic look. Strange, why didn't I receive the news? The Moon Lord murmured, always feeling that something was wrong. Yue Feiyan stayed quietly by her side, not ready to interject. Some decisions had to be made by her mother. It doesn't matter if you don't join, I don't force you. Mu Liang saw the entanglement of the Moon Lord and said softly, just give me the beast spar, and you can also escort you out of the Moon Lake tribe. Some things he was not prepared to say, such as the Rock Tortoise. In fact, the Rock Tortoise is really the existing Black Tortoise City, but it hasn't decorated the house yet. No, I want to ask one more question. Moon Lord's charming face became solemn. You ask? Mu Liang was a little curious about what black-bellied women would ask. If Feiyan and I join Black Tortoise City, what do we need to do? What Moon Lord wants to know most is his position. The Thousand Trees tribe wants their mother and daughter to pass on the family. This is what she hates most. I haven't talked about love once and want my old mother to give birth to the leader of the Kainshu tribe. There are no doors and even the windows are closed for you. It's up to you to decide. I don't force you to do anything. Mu Liang didn't even have the structure of the Black Tortoise City, so naturally there was no arrangement for the Moon Lord. When the Black Tortoise City is established, the Moon Lord will naturally do things and find the own position. Liu's silver-white eyes flashed with a smile, and she thought Mu Liang was too bad, and even before Black Tortoise City she fooled others into joining. So free, Moon Lord's charming face was full of surprise. Treat her as an invitation from ordinary people. Don't you value her ability? You know, she is a Tier 6 Awakener, and she is a prestigious powerhouse in Dasheng. Is freedom not good? Mu Liang smiled. No, it's great. The Moon Lord shook his head blankly, so good that he didn't believe it. Why don't you decide after seeing Black Tortoise City? Mu Liang glanced at the well-behaved red-haired girl. He knew the worries of the Moon Lord. If he was alone, maybe the Moon Lord would go with him. Okay, I will see Black Tortoise City before deciding. If it's appropriate, I will join with Feiyan. Moon Lord thinks it's good to watch first before joining. In this way, she has no worries. After all, if she agrees first and does not join, it will violate her belief in life. Mother, are we going to Black Tortoise City? Yue Feiyan asked with joy. She was already looking forward to the life of Black Tortoise. There are newspapers, delicious lunches, etc., the sacred tree that produces star tea. Well, let's go take a look first. The Moon Lord smiled, and the whole person was much more relaxed. Lord Moon, please let your subordinates follow you. Wei Jiang stepped forward, bending over and begged. A dozen hunting team members behind him all bowed down to request. You also want to go to Black Tortoise City with us? The Moon Lord looked stunned. Yes, Wei Jiang pressed his beard bitterly. No matter it is the Yuetan tribe or the Thousand Trees tribe, there is no place for them to stand for more than a dozen people. This Moon Lord turned to look at Mu Liang and took so many people to Black Tortoise City, she was no longer in charge. For flowers, yes, you can come to Black Tortoise City. The smile on Mu Liang's mouth became even brighter. He sat on the roof and observed more than a dozen Wei Jiang people, all of whom were good hands and had both courage and character. It is a good start to have these elites to help form Black Tortoise City. Thank you, Wei Jiang breathed a sigh of relief. If they are not allowed to follow, he can only take a dozen families to wander around or find a tribe to join. Do you have anything else to prepare? Mu Liang scanned the crowd and asked, if not, shall we leave now? Yes, I want to go back and take my wife and children away. Wei Jiang scratched his beard embarrassedly. And me, I also have a big sis in my house. I want to go back too. More than a dozen people from the hunting team spoke one after another. They gave up everything to help the Moon Lord. If they die, Yuetan tribe will not embarrass their family. But if they fled with the Moon Lord, the result will be completely different and their family members may be implicated. Can you go out? Mu Liang looked at the gate of the courtyard. 0. He counted the number of people silently. If a dozen families leave together, there will be about 50 people. Then the first batch of original residents of Black Tortoise have also been there. Moreover, joining alone is not the same as joining with a family. There is an idea that represents completely rooted down. If it's just us leaving, they shouldn't stop it. Wei Jiang sighed. The people outside are all trying to stop the Moon Lord. Then you go back and prepare, take your family to the gate of the Yuetan tribe, and then I will pick you up. It is impossible for Mu Liang to escort the family one by one. He can only take everyone away collectively at once. Okay, Wei Jiang nodded. He took the lead to walk out of the yard and went back with his wife, daughter, and son to leave the Yuetan tribe. More than a dozen hunting team members also left. Sure enough, there was only a commotion at the gate of the yard, and it did not make it difficult for Wei Jiang and others to leave. You go and clean up now and then leave with me, Mu Liang whispered to the two Moon Masters. We can't go now. The Moon Lord shook his head and said in a weak tone, if we go with you now, Wei Jiang and the others will be caught. Her mother and daughter have suddenly disappeared, so Wei Jiang and others are the biggest suspects, and they will definitely be caught for interrogation. So what are you going to do? Mu Liang didn't say that he could rescue people. Instead, he wanted to know what the black-bellied woman thought. I will take Feiyan to the gate of the Moon Lake tribe and wait for you to pick us up. The Moon Lord blinked at Mu Liang charmingly. Are you trying to pretend to agree to them? The corners of Mu Liang's mouth raised slightly. The black-bellied woman is indeed a mature woman. She is a bit cute and charming. Yes. The Moon Lord felt that only in this way could he lead everyone away. Yes, so I will save trouble. Mu Liang nodded lightly. He happened to be able to go back to evolve the rock tortoise first, otherwise the 50 or so people would be really crowded. Moreover, it is always necessary to show people some hard power. Let the Moon Master and others know that it is a good thing to leave with him.